Hello, everyone, and welcome back to MTU Esports. Today, our MTU Huskies League of Legends team is taking on Lewis University in the Playfly Varsity Premier League. I'm Jake, I go by Scrimby, and tonight I am joined by...
I'm Alex, and I go by Sponge. Jake, it looks like our Huskies are doing a pretty good job this season. We're 2-2. We're going up
Yeah,
against Lewis University, who this is a repeat match. The last time we went up against Lewis, how did the Huskies do?
so it's a five-team conference, so we're actually going to play every single team in our conference twice over the course of this regular season. This is the second time the Huskies have played Lewis this semester so far. In Game 1, it looks like the Huskies took a 2-1 loss, but apparently Games 2 and 3 were very close. Huskies just barely not able to hit that 3-1 record to start their first half of the regular season, but Michigan Tech looking for a bounce-back game here. Going to be very exciting to see how they shake up in what will be their fifth game of the regular season of 8 total matches going into the postseason. But Alex, this is our first time on the mic for League of Legends. First League of Legends stream of the semester as well, so thank you all so much for joining us. Hopefully, we get some pretty exciting gameplay for you guys later tonight. But
If the last match is anything to go off of, it should be down to the wire.
sure hope so. Looks like two very evenly matched teams in tonight's matchup. Taking a look at what these teams have done so far, both sitting at that 2-2 record, both have seen pretty intense matchups against each other. So going to be interesting to see how this one shakes out. Huskies looking for that big revenge game to stay above 500, position themselves well going into the postseason, which, by the way, because of how small the conference is, top 4 teams make it.
Hey,
So only one team gets cut. Right now, Michigan Tech well above the line to be the eliminated team, but obviously playoff positioning, you want better seeding, you want to play teams that you think you have a better shot against to get to that finals matchup. A lot to play for still here in the regular season.
and our guys should be pretty well rested. Last week was spring break. Did you do anything fun for spring break, Jake?
Yeah, I took a little trip. I got somewhere warm, decided to just spend a few days out of the winter, although apparently the weather was nice while I'm gone. Of course, they decided to turn the thermostat up a little bit the second I leave.
I have
But
started seeing kids back to walking campus in jorts even.
well, if they try that
Not that
tomorrow,
they ever stopped.
if they try that tomorrow, they're in for a rough surprise. I'm pretty sure we're seeing blizzard conditions tomorrow, so stay safe out there. If my forecast is right, which I hope it's not. I've enjoyed the warmer weather, to be honest with you. Carnival's over. I'm okay with sunlight and grass now. But we
My
shall see.
understanding, it is supposed to be wet, warm, and heavy, which should be a perfect storm for any of us to sleep off the punchkis. Happy Fat Tuesday. Happy
Thank
Mardi
you.
Gras.
Yeah, looking just nice day to just try to enjoy, relax a little bit. Especially for those of us who have midterms coming up later in the week. I've got one myself. Stay studying, of course, but try to take a breather every once in a while. Keep yourself in a good headspace for the rest of the semester because the 7-week slog begins here. Coming back from spring break, no breaks until the end of the semester now at this point.
No,
So
sir, it is long
get ready
and it will
for
be
it.
gray.
Yeah.
But uh, in the forecast for Husky esports, we again are playing against Lewis University today. We have a bye match tomorrow. I believe the Spartans forfeited, so
San Jose State was not able to make it to tomorrow's match, so it looks like it's going to be a forfeit for the Tech Overwatch team, which, because of that, they're now sitting at a 5-0 record. So staying undefeated, staying on top of their conference, now the sole possession 1 seed in their conference. That is fantastic news for the playoffs, especially for them, because the top 2 teams get a first round bye in those playoffs. So a lot to play for there for the Huskies, hoping to keep that spot. And then, of course, on Friday night at 8 o'clock, we're going to have the Call of Duty team taking on, excuse me, I have the team name somewhere. There it is. Kaiser University Newport Richie. That is definitely a bit of a mouthful in comparison to what we've seen before. That's a new school for us as well. I know we've faced a different satellite campus of Kaiser University before in, I believe, Call of Duty as well, but not in ECAC. So an interesting match there for Huskies Call of Duty, who is also currently undefeated,
it's
sitting
good.
at a 4-0 record.
It's
Really
good to
nice.
see some good, strong Michigan Tech records right now. 5-0, 6-0. These guys are doing some impressive things, and I think we're gearing up to be a winning match tonight again in League of Legends.
Yeah, gonna be a good game, that's for sure.
Next week for League we have a bye,
Yes.
and then who are we facing with
Uh,
Overwatch? I believe you have the
That
team in
is
front of
Cal
you.
State Dominguez Hills.
Oh my!
Yeah, that's a team that I know the Call of Duty team played last semester in the Playfly bracket as well. So a team that we're a little bit more familiar with here. But we'll see how their Overwatch team shakes up. It does seem like, I believe they're currently the 3 seed in the Overwatch conference. So they're one of the teams that's fighting with the Huskies right now for that first round bye in the postseason. So a very big match next Wednesday for the Overwatch team as they try to stay undefeated against a very good team in Cal State Dominguez Hills. But then on Friday at 8 o'clock again next week, Michigan Tech is going to be facing off against the University of Akron. At that point, they'll be playing hopefully for a 6-0 record.
That would be incredible.
It would be. But, of course, our schedule brought to you tonight by Bradway Enterprises. If you're looking for a place to stay next year and you're close to campus, we have the places for that. Find the perfect location. Live where you want to live. Go check out HoughtonForRent.com. Thank you to Bradway Enterprises for sponsoring tonight's broadcast. And thank you for providing us with tonight's match schedule. But a lot of exciting things to look forward to here as a Husky fan. Some really big matches here coming up for all 3 of the esports teams we have in conference play this year. Just really exciting time to be a Huskies fan, and League of Legends looking to get above that 500 watermark and get up there with Overwatch and COD right now.
With how strong the Overwatch team and the COD team have been, I'm looking forward to a little bit more of a punchy and contentious match with League of Legends.
Yeah.
Seeing something that isn't a, dare I say, complete blowout. I hope our Huskies are able to bring up a pretty good show.
The one thing I'm expecting tonight is not a blowout. I do not think it's going to be a one-sided affair in any way. I'm not going to say Game 3 is a lock, but it seems like it's pretty likely based on how the last match shook out. It did go to Game 3 as well. Apparently very close games, especially in Game 2 and 3. But we will see how it shakes out here in the near future.
For sure. And League of Legends is one of those interesting games, too. There are a lot of mechanics that allow you to excel and bounce back. You never quite know where a game is going to wind up until all the cards are on the table and the enemy's core is down. There's a number of things that can be very unpredictable. Or at least it has been over the last, I believe, 10 years, 13 years? How long has League been going on?
Is League 15 years old? Yeah. I think it came out in 2010.
It is easily one of the oldest and most played esports games that I like of this size and specter. I know that there are still folks out there that play like classic Counter-Strike and other things like that, but I can't think of anything that has the punch and following as far as a MOBA goes, a multiplayer online battle arena like League of Legends. This game has been around for a long time.
Yeah, because Dota 2 was a little bit later to the party than League.
Yeah.
The first Dota was out for a while, but that was just a mod, I believe, correct?
That was a mod of Warcraft 3.
Exactly, yeah. So very interesting to see just like the longevity of these games, especially League and Dota at this point. CSGO was in there for a little bit as well, but after CS2, obviously new engine, all that new stuff, not quite in the same conversation anymore. But really interesting times, especially just the longevity of these 2 games is really, it's just insane.
And with that kind of longevity, there are 170 plus characters in this game.
So, there are.
We are going to do our best. I know that I am an old veteran of League of Legends, but there are at least 50 characters that are new that I'm not as familiar with. So I hope I get a couple things right tonight.
Yeah, definitely a lot for me since I played. I mean, the closest thing I have to League experience in the past 5 years as far as playing intensely goes, I played Wild Rift for a bit. I'm a little ashamed to admit it, but I was pretty much a Garen Master Yi one trick, depending on if on my team needed a top lane or a jungle. So we'll see how this shakes out, but looking forward to seeing how this goes.
And regardless of if you're a League of Legends fan or not,
yeah,
they do have this show on Netflix called Arcane, and it is one of the most beautifully animated shoes. It just happens to be about League of Legends characters, but it is an animation feat.
Yes, incredible show. I have nothing else to say about it. I love it.
More animated than us, even.
I mean, we can get goofy. We can get silly if you want to try to compete with one of the most impressive animated pieces of media of the past decade.
And complete aside, and I know we're going on about this a lot, but I do just want to say again, it is one of those shows, for being an animated show, I completely forgot that I was watching an animated show. It is an impressive feat of art, much like I expect the art coming out of our Michigan Tech Huskies tonight. Do we have our teams? Yes, we do.
Take a look at the Michigan Tech roster here. As you can see, the 2-2 record. We have our captain, Kent Rafey, on the far right-hand side there. Going to be playing the jungle for us, most likely. And then the rest of our roster, we will take a player-by-player closer look as the Huskies looking to improve to 3-2 on the night. Let's take a look at our first player here.
They will be up shortly.
There
we do have some pretty solid statistics to show you here.
First up, we did have Brandon Lamb there, who's going by Nugtart in tonight's match. He's a very solid player here for the Huskies. Taking a look at him. KDA of 4.2 is a pretty incredible start.
I know that mine floats around 1.1. Seeing someone
Yeah.
who has put the time into the game to have a 4.2 KDA, that is 4 kills to every death on average.
Yeah, so Brandon's usually the top lane for us, apparently a Garen main, so kindred spirit there, although I'm sure that my Garen gameplay would be put to shame pretty quickly by what we're going to see here tonight. But going to be interesting to see how the pick bans go as far as champ select happens in the next few minutes. But on to our next player here, we have Echo Joseph, KDA of 2.7, combat score well above 300, really nice stats to see there, and hopefully able to contribute more positively to that tonight.
And what position does he play?
Give me just 1 second, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. These stats are incredibly impressive, regardless of what position they wind up playing.
Sorry, the gamer tags that I have in my notes didn't quite match up there, but I believe that is our ADC. But then we have no, music tabs is our ADC. Apologies, Griffin Berwick here on the ADC, 3.7 KDR
That
with a
makes
200
sense.
combat score. Going to be really nice anchors there in the bottom lane. I believe that's our mid lane. Apologies to Echo, but really nice work here so far, and we're going to see what that bottom lane looks like. And then of course Kent Rafey on the jungle here for us. Pretty nice variation of mains here for Kent. We have Zach, Lilia, Amumu a little bit, and Zyra and Viego as well.
That's a wide variety of
Pretty
players.
wide selection, yeah. 3.5 KD though, 230 combat score.
Holy.
Yeah, nice work there.
And Jake, what does a combat score reflect? You know?
It's basically just general across the board performance. We already have our champ selects up here. We'll get to that in a second.
Into it.
But champ selects is just generally a very basic. How well did you perform in this game? It's not end all be all by any means, but it gives a general overview of performance relative to the other players in the match. So a Victor is going to be the first selection for Michigan Tech, along with Corky and Aatrox. And then we have Zyra and Mbessa so far as the selections for Lewis. You can see the bands at the bottom of the screen below, although...
Oh, wow, we're really picking in
Yeah,
here.
things are refreshing pretty quickly here.
We've got our team.
Yeah.
I believe Rel's playing Lux, and then... no, not Rel. Rel's there, and we'll have Nocturne on our team. The Lewis University filling out with Yone, Misfortune, and Renata.
Interesting picks there. But we're not going to see the Garen out of the gate. That's the one thing I was looking forward to as the former Garen main here. I believe that is an Aatrox pick that's probably going to be going to top lane. But we will see how this shakes out. Pretty exciting stuff to start. The match is on a 3-minute pause timer for us. It's just so, there's no observer screen peeking shenanigans going on. That's just how League of Legends does it by default. So it's going to be a few minutes before the match starts for us, but the players will be starting here pretty shortly. But going to be interesting to see how this match shakes out.
And it is. And for as old as the game has been, I still recognize characters like Corky and Misfortune. They're both characters that are known to take over the game.
Oh, yeah.
Corky and Misfortune both having the ability to just really get a quick creep score in, get some gold, get some experience, and that's the kind of snowballing that they look for as carries, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I think that you can get a little bit of versatility out of Corky, but you're probably going to be the ADC here based on what I'm seeing. And then it's just going to be an interesting team comp because we got to keep in mind these teams have played each other in competition play just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So probably a lot of counter picking here, a lot of counter banning. Right out of the gate, Michigan Tech went with the Zach ban, Graves ban from Lewis. Gotta wonder what inspired those decisions. Maybe some crazy play last time, part of that.
Yeah, and we see that the Amumu's been banned too, so making sure that our jungler isn't playing Amumu.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to give that one up. I did enjoy playing him. He's the one that grapples in and just makes an absolute scene, is he? Yeah, it's tons of fun to play.
That's a pretty interesting comp here. I mean, even the Ashe ban from Lewis seems a little strange to me. I mean, I at least when I was very actively playing, Ashe wasn't considered a very massively awesome champion. So I wonder if that's a strict counter pick or maybe that is a current meta thing. I need to get more familiar with the league meta, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting how things do turn out. And that's the thing too with the character builds here. Just because you're playing a character in a position doesn't necessarily mean that your itemization and your skill choices and level ups will lock you into that position proper. There's been a number of times where supports have come through and become the carry. There's a number of times where folks have had to gravitate one way or another. I'm curious on what kind of strategy the Huskies are going to play here. If they're going to go with a standard solo top lane, solo mid lane, jungler, and support the ADC kind of a thing, or what's the general strategy?
If I had to guess, that's probably going to be the move for the Huskies here, at least early on. I mean, obviously, as a positional game, League devolves pretty quickly in the mid game and end game, where it eventually just becomes a point where it's just get down mid as fast as possible, just get back in the fight, keep my team going, get a push going.
Right.
But we'll see how much this comp impacts things. I'm going to be very interested to see just who exactly goes where. But we have a rough idea based on the picks so far. But it'll be interesting to see how that actually shakes out in the near future here. Probably not too much longer to go until game one gets started. So I guess just like anything else that you have really about this team comp before we get into game one?
If anything, that I'm super excited about is one of the newest characters to the game. My understanding is Ambessa. She's one of the characters from Arcane, and she's
Yes.
an incredibly brutal character in the show.
Yes.
Very, very strong, very militaristic. If I had to guess, just off of my limited knowledge of League, I would guess that Ambessa's probably a top laner.
Top lane or ADC, if I had to guess, just purely off vibes. Like I mean, I have not played since Invest released, so it's gonna be interesting to see how exactly that shakes up. I'm not too familiar with abilities either, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there for Lewis. But again,
She does look like the kind of character that will get in and punch or
yes,
slash.
that is
Definitely
true.
try to be in your face. Well, Misfortune wants to play in that kind of mid to back lane, which is probably why we had bands like Amumu being very good at disruption.
Yeah,
I
nice
believe
control.
Skarner is too.
Yeah, so just I mean, maybe that's a hard counter just to get the Misfortune pick off. Although saving Misfortune as your fourth pick is a pretty risky strategy there because a second wave of bans comes through. So you know what it might be is that they got through their first couple picks and then decided let's go for a Misfortune play here because I believe the Braum and Amumu are the last two bans that Lewis got off. So maybe that's just the strat, just trying to like get rid of hard counters for Misfortune, allow that play for your ADC.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's some pretty good analysis there, Jake.
Yeah, there you go.
Looking pretty sharp.
Maybe I know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, they're definitely able to fool me. Much like our load times are fooling us right now. But
Yeah.
it
Couple minutes away still, folks. Apologies about that, but game one starting here pretty shortly.
yeah, but as we're getting warmed up here, and we have the warmer weather in Michigan, in Houghton, excuse me. I've been trying to look a little bit cleaner, a little bit more professional. Do you know of any place that I could perhaps get a picture taken or something like that?
You want to like spice up your style a little bit, maybe?
I was thinking about it.
I mean, if you're looking to spice up your style, University Images is your official headquarters for authentic Michigan Tech Huskies apparel. Did you know about that?
I did not.
Well, I mean, I've got great news for you. I mean, it's university owned, it's university operated. It's called University Images. It's located right here in the SDC.
They're open 8 to 5 every day, I
I
believe.
believe that's correct. 7 days?
6 or 7.
I believe so. Yeah, it's something like that. But they're open a lot. Come up here.
It is the best place to get Michigan Tech merch.
It is, but located right in the SDC, right by the McKenna Ice Arena, or go to bookstore.mtu.edu to order online. They do carry the Michigan Tech esports jerseys as well. I believe they are only carrying this design, the new design for us. But
It's
still,
clean.
Yeah, I'm a big
I noticed
fan.
you've got the name on the back.
Yeah, I got my jersey in. I'm excited about it, you
I've
know.
gotta
But
get one of those. And these are comfortable too. Man, these things are breathable.
yeah, but then Michigan Tech athletics as a whole has a lot going on. We're now getting into the playoff weekends for both basketball and hockey at this point.
March Madness begins.
Not quite. We're still in the conference championship
sure.
stage, but at this point, it seems pretty likely that the Huskies are going to be playing basketball on the national stage.
That is incredible.
I like it's not a certainty by any means, but they finished the men's team finished as the #1 seed in the GLIAC regular season. They're going to be having a home quarterfinal game tomorrow night against Roosevelt University. If they win that game, they're hosting the semifinals and the championship here this weekend. So if you're looking for something to do this weekend and Michigan Tech pulls off the win tomorrow night, then we got hoops for you. Got 3 games actually.
Way
2
to
on
go,
Saturday,
guys.
1 on Sunday. No matter what happens in those games, all 3 will be here if Michigan Tech wins tomorrow night.
Hey, that'll be a game to watch.
It should, yeah, really exciting matchup. And then the hockey team is also doing playoffs on the road. They are going to be taking on Bowling Green State at Bowling Green State this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday if a game 3 is necessary, trying to advance to the semifinal in the Mason Cup playoffs. But very exciting things ahead for pretty much everybody in Michigan Tech athletics, really.
It's a great time to be a fan of Huskies.
Yeah.
Any other interesting things going on in your world, Jake? I heard an interesting tidbit over the last week. One of our national parks, the Grand Canyon, turned 100 years old.
Really?
It was deemed a national park in 1925.
That's
Not that that was the first time of us ever seeing the Grand Canyon, but 100 years for a national park, that's an incredible thing.
that's something to think about, you know. Just like imagine just like out in the Old West, whatever you're doing, you're just like horse carriage, whatever. All of a sudden, a mile straight down.
Incredible.
Just like what would you do just walking on that?
That's a great question.
Like
I, I don't know.
It's-
But I do know that the folks that came up into the upper peninsula of Michigan also were experiencing the same thing,
Yeah.
mining almost a mile straight down as well.
Yeah, I mean, like it's really it's really interesting to just like try to like pick up more information about history of local areas and things like that. And I mean, obviously Copper Country is really rich with a lot of different things, a lot of industrial history here. And just like as we've turned more into kind of a touristy area, there's still some like logging and stuff going on, but like a lot of really interesting intricacies to just like the history of really wherever you go.
Genuinely, one of my favorite places to be up here in the UP
Mhm.
is the Calumet Natural History Museum. It has an incredible view as to what the area used to look like. But enough about that for now. It looks like we are diving straight into the game. Our Michigan Tech Huskies taking on Lewis University, the Flyers,
Yep.
versus the Huskies. We're
And
in our early minutes here. I wonder if League is the kind of game where folks are looking for an early game pickoff. We've got Mad King over there in the bushes, kind of baiting out an ambush on the river. I believe our Huskies are too smart to be fooled for it this time.
there's one thing I want to point out very quickly, folks. The Huskies are the red team. They're the team on the right-hand side of your scoreboard. So they are playing from the top down. They are trying to attack the Nexus, the central tower, in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. Lewis is going the opposite direction. They want to get to the Michigan Tech base all the way up in the top right-hand corner of the map.
And that is the singular goal of the game. There are a lot of different ways that they can get to that victory, whether it's hitting creeps and getting money or killing heroes and getting money, but they do just need to push the towers down to push the last tower. Like that is it.
It is just a game of territory at this point. But the first wave of minions coming in, minions very important, basically the crux of every single lane attack in League of Legends. Their job is to stand in front of the turret and eat the turret fire. But you got to get them there first, and that is what the opposing champions and the opposing minions are trying to do. Just basically slow down your offensive push and keep you from being able to attack.
And we've got Nugtart on Ambesa, and I believe she's living up to her name. She looks like she's just getting in and punching.
Yeah.
Corky's getting in and applying some damage, softening folks up, but it looks like it's not enough to completely phase the Huskies out of lane. This ADC, the support bot lane is an incredibly interesting dynamic. It was always one of my favorite positions to play, whether I was playing the attack damage carry or the support. Just getting to try to hit creeps and duke things out with a partner. It was incredibly fun to play in one of these MOBA kind of games. It looks like we're just playing footsies right now. We've got a little bit of a creep advantage in the mid lane. Looks like Plox is pushing in, applying some pressure on the mid lane, but these are the kind of things that will go back and forth over the course of the match. It looks like Violet's sitting at around 60% health. That might start adding up. They might be going for a kill. It looks like they were trying to find an angle, but they're caught out. Some abilities are used, some cooldowns are on cooldown, and just a little bit of damage here going on back and forth.
Yeah, neither player seems to be in any real danger of going down there. Just a quick exchange. Everybody retreats back. Do not want to be first blood here. League of Legends has a little bit of a reputation for being a snowbally game, one could argue. Getting behind early is not a good spot to be in. Your odds of winning this game go down significantly the further you fall back in the early game here. So trying to get those first kills on the board, but most importantly, not overextending and not feeding the enemy champions is a very big deal here in League.
And right now, our bot lane is looking pretty strong. Our guys are hitting level 3 as opposed to Lewis University stuck at level 2. They're applying some damage and putting it on the Corky.
Oh.
He's getting low. Oh, one more hit. There it goes. First blood.
Nice start there. Looking for a
Swart
two-piece as
Misfortune.
well.
Let's go.
More support coming in for the Huskies, and that is going to be a second quick kill there.
Cleaning up with a double kill. Looking good, Michigan Tech.
And Misfortune, played by Music Tabs, is the person to pick up both of those kills. XP going to the ADC. Very good start here for the Huskies in that bottom lane. Probably not going to see a turret push anytime soon, but getting that early lead gives you a little bit more flexibility, gives you more firepower in these team fights for the first few minutes.
And that's a dangerous gamble to start putting yourself into.
Yes, it is.
The goal of Lewis University right now should be really trying to suppress Misfortune from getting any kind of grounding.
I wholeheartedly agree.
And we're showing that that's not the easiest thing to do. So we've got Music Tabs rolling back on in with a little bit of swagger. Actually, it looks like they're going to be scoping into the river. I wonder what kind of trouble that they're going to get into. We got a little bit of, just footsies is what they call it in the fighting game community, where you're just kind of sizing things up, strategically poking at each other.
And Fiorina and Pyox going to be going at each other here in the mid lane. Pretty balanced fight there so far. Same thing in the top lane with Timihan and Nugtart.
And we're fighting up, but the auto-directed camera says it's not that interesting. As we're getting some more damage on this Corki, this is another thing that is not great for Lewis University. If your attack damage carry, it starts getting pushed back like that, it's going to be a lot harder to win the game than the other lane specifically.
Oh, Nug might be in a little bit of trouble here, but for now going to successfully fend off the team fight.
Pushing back under the tower does give them a lot more of a defensive position, as long as the creeps hold. As soon as the creeps start taking the tower fire under the top lane tower, it's going to really crack open the game for top lane. They might push in and try to get a kill, much like we did on the bottom lane here a minute ago.
The first dragon has spawned as well in the dragon pit. For those of you who don't know, there are neutral enemy camps all over the map, in between the lanes, and especially along the river that's running the opposite direction as the line drawn from the two nexuses. All of these enemies give XP to players who kill them. The most notable ones are probably the ones in the Baron pit and the Dragon pit. Those spawn, they give usually some buffs. The dragons give a small permanent buff that lasts for the duration of the game, while the ones that spawn in the upper pit generally give shorter term buffs, but are very nice, short-term, impactful things.
Nothing is worse than getting ganked and seeing someone rolling in with a red buff or blue buff. Yeah. It's a terrifying sight. You definitely want to get out of the way as soon as possible.
It looks like Crayfinator, I think for a second, was thinking about going for that dragon push, but decides to help out Fiorina here. Pyox gets rooted, and that is going to be another kill there. 4-0, the kill feed to start for Michigan Tech with about a 2,500 gold lead as well.
Looking pretty strong. Corgi was trying to push out our bottom laners, but we got some spicy combat here at the start, and Base are really punching in. They're making Tim pop his ultimate there, if I'm not mistaken, which is going to open up the dragon for our Huskies. They got him at about half health, and doesn't look like there's any congestion coming out of Lewis University.
Yeah, barring a last-second snipe here. Whoever kills the dragon is the player who gets the buff for their team. So sniping these, like basically just getting in a little tiny bit of damage at the last second to keep the team that was focusing them from picking up the buff is a strategy. We've seen it work out really well for Huskies in the past. There was a couple clips from the GLIAC Esports Championship a couple of years ago where a very big Baron Nashor snipe in Game 3 wound up being the difference to help the League of Legends team win the championship that year.
And we're getting some pretty good trades and punches up top, as again, these guys are just going to be hitting each other. You can tell by the big sword and the giant knives on their hands that these guys are just trying to get in and get in the face.
They punch stuff.
They hit big, they hit hard. That's the plan. But as you can tell at the top of the screen, we have our differences in gold. Lewis University is at around 11K, and MTU is at about 12. Gold is a good indicator of what your general team strength is. They use that gold to buy items, and especially when your carries start picking up items is really the true strength of what your team winds up being. We got a push coming down in the bot lane. It looks like Misfortune is able to kind of fend for herself, but Lewis University getting some big damage on that tier 1 tower.
Yeah, our bottom lane decided to recall and go buy items after that first wipe. So went back, get some items, just strengthen themselves up a little bit, start getting that ball rolling early. So it gave Lewis a little bit of time to catch up in the XP count. But still, that's probably going to work out better for the Huskies in the long run, just getting that gold spent, getting some items on the board, start getting you those buffs earlier on.
Yeah. Looks like I'm curious as to what the result of our top lane is going to be. My understanding is neither of those characters have died yet. They continue to just punch and regen and punch and regen. It's an endless dance, really.
I believe Timihan did die to Nug earlier in the match. I may be misremembering, but I believe that was the 4th kill.
That would make sense. That would make sense. Anyways, our Misfortune is hanging out about half health. It looks like Lewis is going to be shaping up for a gank. We got 3 heroes in the bot lane, but they sniff it out. The creep wave starts retreating under tower, and this is a really good time that opens up a lot for our team when 3 heroes are tied up in the bot lane. That kind of gives our mid a chance to roam, or our jungler a chance to sneak behind mid lane, as you can see in the mini map. As though the action is going back and forth between Nug and Tim. It looks like Kraft is snuck into the enemy jungle.
Oh, looking to steal a buff off of one of the jungle camps as well, I think. Not sure if that was pulled off successfully. Fiorina got a pull back. Nice push there, just trying to spook the opposing mid lane a bit. And now Mad King and Music Tabs looking for a quick push, trying to steal a quick kill on one of the Lewis players, but right there, not going to work.
Yeah.
Ethan and Violet able to get together, and a third player lurking in the jungle, waiting for a potential counter push here.
It looks like we've got.
Oh,
It looks
they
like
might
we
be
got
getting what they
6
want.
salty heroes down there. Oh, an ult is popped. Some team fights are popping off here.
Oh, nice kill there by Mad King. 2 kills there. Nice start here for the Huskies. Able to take it, not able to take out Ethan there. Able to retreat, but a really nice team fight there by the Huskies. I wasn't even aware that we had a third player in that fight until it was already going.
Great positioning by the Misfortune right there. She was really able to just barrel in and barrage and lay into the enemy team as they walked straight into it.
Yeah.
CC'd and slowed. They had no way of escaping. And it's as simple as that.
Yep.
Take a couple of heroes, take some gold and some XP. Thank you, please. Thank you, and go back to the shop and get some new items.
And you can see exactly that. The Huskies went back, recalled back to the shop, bought some items. Not going to be a ton of action right after a team fight in that bottom lane, so using that time wisely to get back to base, buy some items. And now, hopefully going to be even stronger in these team fights, but the Huskies off to a fantastic start so far.
Yeah, continuing to push the advantage, pushing against the bot lane, but they're not able to pull out the Corki as Mbesa is going in on the top. Oh, it looks like we've popped some ultimates, but we're not able to confirm the kill.
Yeah.
But
you saw the Void Grub spawn message, and we're like, oh, that's another big kill, but game played us for a fool there a little bit, but now looks like Crafinator and Mad King going to go for the Void Grub fight. These are new for me in League of Legends. 3 mini bosses that spawn in the Baron pit. For each one of those mini bosses you kill, they all spawn additional troops, but they don't give you any buffs. For every one of the larger ones that you kill, you stack a buff that gives you, I believe, a burn effect whenever you attack a turret. So very
burn
nice
effect,
stuff.
and I believe you also spawn those little grub lings too.
I think if you have enough stacks of the buff.
Wow.
So if a second one were to spawn that they could pick up, then they would have the ability to spawn a bunch of Void Mites and actually make basically just beef up the minion count in a fight.
Ah, that's exactly what you want when you're applying pressure. And they're kind of cute too. I mean, for being whatever a Void Grub would be, I would hate to see a Void Fly or Void Beetle. But looks like we got a number of heroes in the river here. This is kind of no man's land. We're trading off with Vision, but we can see that Michigan Tech has a pretty good ward on our side of the river. Oh, we're getting a little spicy here as Tim and Mbesa, Tim and Nug are still trading hits, and then they back off.
It's fairly balanced. Yeah, they're not actually going for the kill, either one of them yet. I think they're both saving flash in their back pocket in case they need to get away quickly.
It's a little bit like having siblings, older and younger brother, just kind of chipping at each other, just across from the river. But top lane's applying a lot of pressure into the tower, and Nug's able to fend it off.
It's surprising how even they are XP-wise up in that top lane as well. It's just been pretty much a neutral fight all the way through this game.
Yeah, very much a tug of war. We're hitting here
nice
at the 12th
land there.
minute. Oh, yep. Not quite enough. Not enough commitment, but both of them are sticking around at about half health. We're here at the 12-minute mark. I believe Baron spawns at about 18 minutes, so we still have about 6 more minutes of this mid-game, or this early game scuffling.
We are going to have the Rift Herald spawn here pretty soon as well in the Baron lane, so that'll be a nice pickup for whichever team's able to grab that. Rift Herald.
Oh, mid's going in.
Oh,
Not
Farina.
quite. Oh!
Massive health advantage. Get the takedown here. There you go, Farina. Big kill. Make it 7-0 in favor of the Huskies. Now about a 3,000 gold lead.
That's exactly what you want to see. Lewis University does have some pretty good damage on our tier 1 towers, but that advantage is being traded for our ability to kill Dragon again. And as we kill Dragon, we continue to stack that permanent buff.
It is getting pretty dire now.
And that buff goes to Craft. How winds quicken, whatever that could mean. It sounds quite ominous.
I believe it's a jungle event modifier, so like the jungle landscape changes a bit.
Oh,
might be some other effects going on.
Making that easier or more difficult? Is there some kind of like streamline pathway or something?
It's been so long since I played and was active in jungle that I couldn't tell you, to be honest with you. But Nugtart and Timahan going at it again. Nug with a pretty significant health advantage, and Timo pushing anyway.
Yeah.
It seems to be balancing the fight pretty close HP-wise, but
Nug
able to back up now.
Looking to bait Nug in, but
here
the
comes the
bottom
team
lane. Nug is still holding his own, and as that creep wave begins to fall, that
Turret kill goes down anyway, though. So a bit of a trade there for the Huskies, and there is a support up there as well, trying to pick up the second kill. We'll have to see how that fight shakes out. But Fiorina going for another push mid, try to just bully Pyox off the turret. A lot of damage done there, but not able to get it done. Crafey trying to take it out.
And Crafe's in.
Nice kill there.
And that's what happens when you start to stack that dragon buff. You become this big damage monster basically out of nowhere. Kraft's been jungling pretty effectively, it looks like. He's been getting in and getting these ganks, and that's only going to be better for his team.
Really fantastic work so far from the jungle for the team captain for the Huskies. And still no longer a deathless game, but still a very dominant position right now for Michigan Tech. Off to a fantastic start about 15 minutes into this game. Rift Herald's going to spawn here pretty soon if either team wants to try to take advantage of that as well.
There is the caster's curse. You can't just say that the numbers are in our favor. And we do have to be mindful of that. I would hate to jinx these guys, but the numbers are looking pretty good for Michigan Tech right now.
At least when you say something like that, it's not going to be like immediately shut down and proven wrong.
I sure hope not.
Well, it's not going to be surprise 5,000 gold for Lewis or anything like that, which is what happens all the time in Rocket League, Counter-Strike, all the FPS titles, So a little bit of a change of pace there that, in regards to the caster's curse, I'm more than happy to take.
And with that, Michigan Tech moves into the enemy jungle. They're starting to really press down on these resources.
Very aggressive push there from Nug, but kind of half-hearted. Minions didn't have a ton of health there. Would have been a very risky fight to actually push full stop.
Bot lane pushing into the tower. We're getting a little bit of chip here, 3-on-2, but ults are popped.
Risky spot for Crafinator. Can he get away?
Oh.
No, gonna get shut down there. And the Corki finally going to get on the board here for Lewis.
But Fiorina gets in, gets 1, gets 2. Can she make it 3? Not quite.
Very close to going down.
As we return to some more punching up top, these guys continue to dance. They are not letting go. This is not my territory. This is not yours.
And I believe that, that is the first turret of the game. Michigan Tech making the first push into enemy territory past the turret line.
And you can just see that with the control that they have. We've got a number of really aggressive wards in the bot lane, trying to make sure, scout out where their jungler is, where their support is. And it's really going to restrict the ways that Corki can get in and farm. If they're not safe to be in this leg of the map due to Michigan Tech's presence, your ADC is just not going to have the cash they need.
Yeah, especially losing that bottom lane. ADC needs to ramp up pretty quick. That is going to be a very dangerous situation for Lewis.
Really, the only one on Lewis's team that's had a consistent chance to farm is Tim, and Tim's been losing these kind of dukes with Nug.
Is actually ahead of Nug in XP now, but it's very close. Yeah, Nug just hits level 12, so they're roughly even. And another very all expenses paid fight here up in the top lane, and it looks like it's going to be another draw there.
Yeah. And now we're in a position where Michigan Tech has just really pushed in and started to dominate the bottom lane, which frees up the ability for your support to gank, for your jungler to gank. And we're seeing the loose forming of an ambush around the mid lane. We got 2 heroes.
Oh, Nug, big push here, needs this kill.
Is he going to get it? Tim is still pretty low.
Oh, he's going to retreat. Michigan Tech does pick up the Rift Herald, so that is going to be a very nice help in taking out an opposing turret in the near future.
And Tim got a really good dodge there, just getting away from a gank there. But
that's dire.
Lewis is doing some ganking of their own as we take down.
Fiorina's going to go down.
I believe that's Atraxa. Yeah, Fiorina is down. Our mid laner caught just a little bit off guard, but off guard because we've got 3 heroes up top and the Rift Herald, right?
Yeah, Rift Herald just spawned, and it looks like the Rift Herald might be able to get another hit off on that second turret in the top lane as well.
So we're doing a little bit of trading.
And look at this, massive charge there from the Rift Herald. You can see it just takes out, just chunks half the turret's health.
Oh, man.
Really helpful in a team push if you can get it off, especially if you can make it hit 2 turrets with that charge. And just like that, the Huskies going to take down both turrets in the top lane. Very aggressive play here, but it looks like that death in the bottom lane from Fiorina is going to balance out with a massive territorial game there for the Huskies.
In a map-based game like this, in MOBAs, you always have to ask, at what cost? Sure, we lost our mid laner, sure, we lost a tower, but we took tier 1s, tier 2s, and Rift Herald. That's a pretty good trade.
And I mean, in a situation like that, you got to think that Lewis, pulls off a 3v1, gets a kill on the board. They're probably getting pretty excited, nice kill there. Wait, where's the rest of the team?
Oh my.
Where are they?
They're losing towers left and right. And as you lose towers, you lose that area of influence. Towers are such a good, safe place to fight under for either team. But looks like Lewis is sniffing out the rotations from Michigan Tech. Lewis pops kills the
Yeah,
dragon.
Lewis is going to get the Cloud Drake there, so they get one of the dragons for their own.
Pushing in aggressively there with Violet, and he gets clapped down. No, we get clapped down. Fiorina goes down. That puts us at a 4v5, which causes us to retreat.
Oh, this is a crazy push. Wait, oh no, a little bit overextended there. Didn't quite realize that there were 4 players on that point. Wanted to pick up a quick kill and retreat if I had to guess, but unfortunately underestimated the Lewis defense there. And now 5-12. Lewis trying to claw their way back into this game in the kill count, but still a 4,000 gold separation between the two teams.
And the later that we get into the game, the more that a hero is worth. So though it says that we're 5 and 12, or 5 to 12 right now, those gold differentials are only about 3K, 4K right now. That will change pretty rapidly if Michigan Tech starts to slip. As they die, their heroes having more gold, being worth more gold, are going to maybe have an economic shift. So it's something that they definitely need to be aware of.
Mm-hmm. And this is a new boss apparently up near the Baron lane. Ruinous Archon was the name. I didn't know this was in the game, to be completely honest with you. But it looks like Michigan Tech is going for a takedown here. Definitely getting into late game bosses, put up a bit more of a fight. Bit scarier. You cannot solo these bosses. Mad King getting pretty dangerously low.
Pretty heavy damage there. But Lewis is trying to get in with 2 heroes now. They've got the whole team rotating up, and I think we're about to see something pop off.
They're looking for a snipe, not able to get it. Nice counter push there, I believe, by Mad King to push them away from the fight and make sure that the Huskies can pick up that buff. And look at that, just mowing down the Lewis players. 5-15 now the kill count and the gold lead. And of course the snowball here.
Dashing in aggressively.
This might be a full team wipe.
It's looking pretty strong, and there goes 5.
That is a full team wipe. Michigan
5 for
Tech,
1.
Complete control of the map here for a little bit. They're going to retreat, grab some items. They have plenty of gold in their pockets.
Attracts
Or
against
no,
the
they're going to keep pushing. Look at this.
Why slow down? They've got the advantage. This is the time to start pushing. It might be a good time after they lose their initial advantage, but as long as folks are stuck respawning, Michigan Tech knows that it is safe to push. Pushing a tier 3 is incredibly detrimental. That means that if we're able to get the full tower down, the creep wave will naturally push under the tower. That means Michigan Tech can start putting their attention in other parts of the map.
And it looks like they didn't want to overextend there. Once the players for Lewis started respawning, of course, they're going to have items because they're allowed to purchase them while they are waiting to respawn. Just didn't want to overextend, didn't want to get caught too far back in Lewis's base, so took a couple turrets when they had the free time to do so, and now they're retreating. Looks like most people recalled and bought items on their own, and now we will see if Michigan Tech can keep this snowball up and try to wrap this game up quickly.
A 6K lead is pretty good.
It's a really nice start. 22 minutes in, Tech has played a fantastic match so far.
Yeah, but Lewis University's not rolling over. They're still trying to find their footing here, but that doesn't mean that they are down or out. There is still easy opportunities for them to capitalize if we start getting too aggressive,
Yeah, crazy stuff can happen in this game, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, it would take, I think, probably multiple team wipes for Lewis to get back in the near future. So we'll have to see if they're able to try to just claw themselves back in slowly, or maybe they are able to find a gap in a team fight here.
Yeah, but with the shift of advantage and disadvantage, we're now at a point of reset. Though the Huskies will have more map control because they have more towers, it does look like we're just kind of minding ourselves on either side of the map. Fiorina pushing in kind of aggressively, getting a great rotation from Lewis University.
I think Fiorina wanted to go for a 2v1 there just to see what happens. And now some support coming in for the Huskies as well.
They are in the
Mike
find out
gets stuck
era.
in this fight. Fiorina knows where they are too.
And what do? They're invading. We've got ADC versus ADC. It's hard to face into a Corki when he's got his full barrage up.
Misfortune
goes down.
Corki picking up a kill there, trying to get that XP ramp back up.
And that's the kind of thing you have to watch out for. Even though Fortune's got 2 levels on Corki, he's scary when he's going full bore.
You cannot overextend, even if you feel like you have a massive advantage. You cannot give Lewis the opportunity to creep back into this game, and a kill like that is a great way to get that ball rolling for them.
Especially on a character like Corki, which, as we talked about at the start of the map, he's one that as soon as you start getting a little bit of something, as soon as you start getting those items, that gold, you become a major threat. He's able to dish out a bunch of damage to the entire team, assuming that Michigan Tech all stands in the same spot. And that's the catch-22 of both characters. Fortune and Corki are both just these heavy barrage hitters. Looks like we're shaping up to some kind of
It's going to be the Elder Dragon. Yeah, there you
yeah,
go.
shaping up around Dragon as Fiorina pushes in under the tower, but not able to get the kill. We've got Nug diving in deeply with Ambessa.
Oh, gets away just barely. There was some kind of projectile from the opposite end of the map coming in. Nug is going to go down. And Lewis
They
need the
commit
kill
the
there.
Nug. And Tim is starting to escape away. The Misfortune gets the stun. Tim is still confident going up 3v1. That's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
And Music Tabs gets the kill.
And that is going to pretty much leave the river wide open for Tech to take the dragon here if they want to go for it. There it is, and there's the Baron Nashor spawn at 25 minutes.
Yeah, Tim being their big initiator. I'm not quite sure the character that he's playing, but whenever he goes into that dragon form, he does seem like he's hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Not hard.
Aatrox can be trouble. It can be a very scary fight to go up against in a lot of instances, but Huskies do a great job. Strengthen numbers there. They have the XP advantage. They've built themselves up very well here. And with a 12 kill lead, now 7,000 gold ahead, 25 minutes in. They are in control. It is their game to lose.
And with that kind of an advantage, they feel pretty confident to go straight into the Baron pit. Baron, he grants a buff or immortality?
It's a buff that buffs the minions around you while you're pushing.
Absolutely
and I believe
terrifying.
it does buff your damage as well a little bit. But definitely, basically, it just means that you are going to take massive swaths of territory if you successfully pick up this Baron buff. And barring a snipe, Michigan Tech picks it up. Baron Nashor buff, they're going to run back, grab items, and push with a wave of minions, just trying to get that final push going into the Lewis Nexus.
They recognize their advantage. They recognized, hey, we don't see anyone who's strong enough to contest us while we're in Baron, and there you go. That's the kind of objective-based gaming that you need to have while you're playing a MOBA like League of Legends.
Absolutely. It is a timed buff, so they need to take advantage of this while they have it, but you can see how quickly the minions are just wrapping up the Lewis minions in comparison just by being in contact with that buff from Misfortune.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to try to split that attention between a couple of lanes, try to get some creep advantage on bot, some creep advantage on mid. It looks like there's 2v3 in mid right now, kind of a fight going on in the top lane, and just a lot of folks just kind of kicking each other.
Graffinator destroying a ward, just trying to give a bit more Peeker's advantage to the Huskies. Looks like there might be a team fight setting up here in mid. Few champions lurking in the area for Lewis. If a team wipe happens here, you got to think this game is pretty near over.
Yeah, with a Baron buff and a full creep wave. Ugh.
Yeah, scary times here for the Flyers. We'll see if they can find a way back in this game. But Huskies looking for their opportunity to make a push here. They are going to get spotted.
But it doesn't seem like they're too concerned.
They've got the lead. They've got the advantage right now.
And they're pushing in the bot lane. Creeps are strong. They're trying to pick off their mid blocks. Oh, they pop them with the ults.
And that's going to go down. XPPN may be trying to find some kind of counterplay here. Going to stay within the range of the turret. This turret is forfeit at this point for Lewis. And now it is just the turrets surrounding the Nexus remaining.
And this is a tough place for Lewis to be. It's really, really hard to try to poke and find those points where Michigan Tech is weak. They're finding one right now, though. Music Tab's caught out. Tim's going in, and that's it. XPPM.
But again, it's that thing where Lewis overextended a little bit, left a little bit too much room. A turret's now been destroyed. Inhibitor is open.
And Tech is saying, hey, we might be down one, but we can still fight. There goes Fiorina, but the heroes are trading left and right. Triple
kill there for Aatrox. Nice work there by Fiorina. That's going to be an inhibitor turret down. When inhibitors get destroyed, super minions start spawning for your team. Basically just bigger minions that I think pretty much one-shot standard. At least distance minions? I'm not entirely sure. Fiorina getting very spawn risky there.
But we're chipping in on the two towers here as Lewis University is stuck just watching them respawn. There's not anything that they can do. And
Nexus is open. Final push here.
It looks like it's going to be GG. Michigan Tech takes the first one over Lewis University. They had a pretty strong showing the whole way through. It was a good, bold play. We got a couple of early kills on bot lane. We got a couple of early ganks in mid, and with top lane just kind of going back and forth, Ambessa Nug just kind of took over.
Yeah, you really couldn't ask for much of a better game there from your Huskies in game one. Fantastic work in that game. I mean, I think the final kill line was something probably close to 30-6, 30-7.
I believe it was 9-25, if I'm not mistaken.
Jeez.
That's pretty strong. And those are just good numbers. What do you say?
I did just a really solid, complete game there from the Huskies. Started off with an early lead and just really didn't let their foot off the gas for that entire time. Picked up, I think, all but one of the main pit spawns for all the buffs in the game. I think that Lewis was able to pick up one Drake, but that was it.
And when you have control like that, it really makes it harder for Lewis to push back. When you have these strong buffs, when you have those void grubs,
Yeah.
what do you do? And especially once Michigan Tech picked up Baron, that basically signified end of game one.
I think the real turning point, like where it went from like Michigan Tech has to lead to, oh no, this is a blowout, is when they got the Rift Herald off in the top lane.
Yeah.
Because the Rift Herald getting the Rift Herald to get that major hit off on 2 turrets, that basically just does a full turret's worth of damage. And I mean, with 3 Huskies players there, I think they picked up a couple kills as well. Gave them a little bit of room in the bottom lane to do it, but still just a massive play there for the Huskies and opened up the entire map for them, really.
2 turrets, some heavy damage on that tier 3 on bot or top lane. Yeah, they basically just cracked open the map wide open. And after that, you saw our guys rotating pretty effectively. They were just swarming. It's like,
Yeah.
sorry, this isn't your jungle anymore.
Yeah,
we've got the wards up. We've got the cash.
Yeah, there was a point where Crafinator was like in the enemy jungle going for red and blue buff. I remember that was pretty interesting. But I mean, just really solid overall dominant game there by Michigan Tech, and they're going to take the 1-0 series lead here in this best of 3 match.
If I was the Michigan Tech Huskies, I couldn't be happier with a performance like that, especially after Lewis took us in the first series.
Yeah.
It's nice to see them coming out strong.
Yeah,
it's one of those things that you really have to worry about in a series game like this. There's a lot that can change as folks get emotionally invested in the game.
For sure.
And with a game like that, where I'm not saying it wasn't close, but I am saying that it was a pretty confident win by Michigan Tech. I'd be curious to see what Lewis will do to counter against those hero picks that we had right now. We can tell that they had a strong draft where they were trying to limit some of Michigan Tech's options in the first game, but they still let slip through. And Besa was a strong one.
The Aatrox, I think, or the Aatrox and Misfortune were the 2 really big picks there for Michigan Tech. I mean, Misfortune got the ball rolling early in that bottom lane, and then Fiorina just picking up insane amounts of kills from the mid lane. Fantastic work there.
It allowed us to pick up Dragon. Kraft was picking up Dragon buffs like crazy, and that allowed him to continue to roam and put pressure, which allows your ADC to farm, which allows them to get more kills. Exactly. It's just one of those, it's like a set of dominoes. And
once one player like has a clear, distinct advantage, usually the rest of the team quickly follows because the opposing team has to try to counter this some way.
But I find that in games like this, that is sometimes the hardest position. Is once you start to get that advantage, you really have to be careful. Because me personally, I try to get, but you have to play smart. You have to play safe. You have to start to chase after these objectives. And the Huskies did an incredible job of capitalizing on the space that they were pulling. They found their buffs. They found their creeps. Absolutely. They found their team fights, and that's just how you win the game.
Yeah, it's like we've been saying, it's just like nothing really went wrong for Michigan Tech in that game, and just
the trades were strong.
Yeah,
in our favor. I mean, it's just a good business deal.
Yeah, very rarely overextended. Not a ton of really anything left hanging for Lewis. It's just like it even felt like the kills they got off in the mid and late game were calculated, basically like we're willing to cut our losses here because we know we're going to pick up a massive chunk somewhere else.
Yeah, it said, hey, we noticed that there are 3 guys in the bot lane. I'll go there, I'll tie them up while you guys push the other advantage, or while you guys push into their jungle. It's like, what do? You win.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like,
that's the story.
Yeah, so Huskies going to see if they can replicate that success in game 2, hoping, I mean, that'd be a great way to shut out this revenge series. Just quick 2-0, get it done. 2 quick games there would be a very nice result for Michigan Tech.
Should we be so bold?
This Lewis team has shown they have fight in late series, though. So do not want to underestimate these guys at all. We'll have to see how game 2 shakes out. It will get going here in a couple of minutes, but definitely going to be a very interesting game 2 and possibly game 3 if needed.
Yeah, I couldn't ask for better results, especially coming off of spring break. I don't know how many of our guys were traveling, but I believe we weren't hosting workouts or scrims during that time.
I think there were still scrims going on. I think for a few teams they might have been online, but yeah, they not quite the time off that we get, unfortunately, for the student athletes. But I mean, hopefully they still got to enjoy their time off from at least the courses a bit, take a bit of a breather, try to get some rest in. And I mean, thankfully, I mean, picked up wins in every match over the break. So
Yeah.
smooth sailing, I'd say.
And speaking of break, I'd like to just say thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I know that we have a lot of families. I know that we have a lot of friends tuning in to watch and support the Michigan Tech Huskies. If you would like to just tell us where you are, where you're from here in the chat, or who you're coming out to support, we love to see our audiences get in and join the conversation. We're all a big Husky family here. But we've got our first couple of bands coming in here in this first round, and they're saying, Kraft, you are not allowed to play, who is that, Nidalee?
I guess I mean that is a hard craft against or hard counter against Yone, who was
Zyra.
the mid lane there.
Yeah,
for
Yone
Michigan
was.
Tech. Yeah, I said Aatrox earlier. Apologies about that. That was
Yone and Zyra were definitely some very tough characters to deal with.
Yeah, and Jarvan's gonna get banned by Michigan Tech, so we'll have to see how the Huskies respond there. But so far, seems pretty run of the mill outside of the 1-1 Yone ban, just saying, not again. We're not doing that again.
Too slippery. He's in, he's out. He's got too much damage. We're not dealing with it.
The Renekton ban coming out as well for Lewis, and now the third ban coming shortly for the Huskies. Gonna think it over and see what they decide to ban.
And if I'm not mistaken, after this ban, then Lewis University will get a chance to take some picks.
Yeah, they will get the pick first here.
Gotcha. I wonder who they'll go with. If it's usually with a drafting situation like this, you want to pick someone that is high priority but not fully counterable, right? You want to find someone who's kind of that all-arounder or just a high priority pick.
And they're going to take the Ambessa right out of Michigan Tech's hands.
Hey, Ambessa was incredibly effective. Nug was doing a great job with her at the start of last game, and though it was my first game watching her play, that's kind of the thing that I was expecting. Someone that just gets in there. They were big on the disables. It looked like they were generating health, and I don't think they technically have mana. They don't have to worry about spending down that resource. It looked like they had a fillable bar, which means they could stay in the fight a lot longer. They don't have to buy spellcasting items or anything to worry about that mana economy.
That's the beauty about these really melee heavy top laners, that they just keep swinging. You know, it's really hard to truly take them out of the fight. I mean, once they expend all their abilities, if they're like truly left hanging, they'll back off.
Yeah.
But just being able to have the ability to just stay in the fight, not have to worry about expending mana, it's a really nice advantage when you can get the ball rolling in your favor, especially if you have a couple of levels on the opponent.
Yeah. Michigan Tech locks out the Orianna, forecasting that Lewis University might have an Orianna player. And it looks like we got our first picks. We got Poppy and Liliana going for Michigan Tech. Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Poppy, one of the characters that was introduced to the game when I originally started playing. There was this huge promo about start playing League and pick Poppy. And back in the early days of the internet like that, it was like, oh yeah, sweet, I'll take a free hero. I don't think I ever played her or know anything to do. But Lewis University takes Mordekaiser.
Interesting play there.
So they've got two pretty big, beefy characters.
Yeah, gonna be interesting to see how this shakes up. But really, I mean, this is a very interesting champ select in comparison to what we saw in game one.
Yeah.
Because the Ambessa feels like a counter pick.
Yeah,
more
make
than
sure that
anything.
we take it out of Tech's hands.
Yeah,
but
and then Zuri as well going to be coming out for Lewis.
Ambessa and Mordekaiser. That's saying Lewis University kind of saying, hey, I don't think we had enough beef last round. We kind of died a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Died a little bit faster last time than we were anticipating. So let's make that a lot harder for you guys.
And Zaya going to be the next pick for Michigan Tech, getting up to their 3 players each. So now 2 more bands coming in the bottom part of your screen, and then the final 2 champions for each team will be selected.
Now, Jake, do you know anything about Zeri?
Not much, to be honest with you.
Any of these guys standing out to you? Zeri, Zaya, Liliana?
Yeah, I mean,
or Lilia, not Liliana.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure everybody but Ambessa is a new pick for this series, which is pretty interesting. I mean, like, a couple of champs got hard banned, so like there goes Victor. Lulu taken out by Michigan Tech as well. So I'm not sure. It's just like a little bit more variety here than I was expecting. I was expecting to see some pretty similar champ selections, to be honest with you.
And this is also going against the grain based off of just what we were able to peek at before the match. It looks like the league players have an extensive stat line of the characters that they've played.
Oh yeah, they do their research. That is
more than any stat line I've seen with Michigan Tech esports so far. It looks like it was matches going back at least a year or 2.
Yeah, I mean it's fantastic work. I think the League of Legends players run it themselves. Apparently, I mean they're doing fantastic work on it. They're keeping track of all this stuff. They're coming up with their game plan, figuring out who they want to ban, And
But when you
I mean,
have complete stats like that, that really allows you to think about like what your team is trying to grab and accomplish with these objectives. Because a lot of these heroes play similar routes. They have these effects. We're seeing the Ari get banned, Syndra get banned, and now we're down to our last couple of picks. I wonder who Michigan Tech will pick up.
it'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure. So, I mean, they need to pick a top laner still, and then I guess probably an ADC. So, Misfortune's still on the board. Just chucking that out there.
And when you have a roster of about 170 characters, it's really hard to ban everyone. But Misfortune might struggle against Ambessa and Mordekaiser, two characters
true.
that are really hard to chew down, and once they get in your face, they don't really let up.
And there's another Renata pick for Michigan Tech. So, never mind.
Not Renata, Nami.
Go with Nami instead.
All right, the last second psych out. Milio picked up for Lewis University.
And then
I don't know who they are, but that's some cute art.
It is. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Milio either, to be completely honest with you, but it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out. And then the final champ picks are going to be coming in for Lewis and Michigan Tech here pretty shortly. And then a few minutes left until we get into game 2.
I'm quite excited.
Me as well. Game 1 went about as well as you could ask for if you're a Husky fan.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how they pick up in games 2 and 3. Obviously, especially because this has a little bit of a revenge game vibe to it. You just want to be like, slam the door shut, we're getting out of here 2-0, done. But obviously, not always going to get that kind of result. So we will see what Lewis responds with here. And another champ I'm not too familiar with here.
I would say Hui.
Yeah, Hui pick.
Interesting.
All
right. If I had to guess just based on their art, that would be a carry. Usually carries are kind of edgy.
And then a Zed here. There's one I'm a little bit more familiar with. That's one I've definitely seen in quite a few different matches over the little bit of time I played League of Legends back in the day. But looking at this is a very different team comp for both of these teams.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that Poppy's going to be our top laner. I'm not quite sure exactly what Poppy does, but
yeah,
she's kind of a heavier, beefier character. No, I could be completely wrong. I'm getting confirmation from the table that is the right intuition.
There you go.
And what about Nami? Would Nami be a mid laner? We don't know. We just don't know.
You know what? They know their champs. They know who they want to play here.
Yes.
And it'll be interesting to see. But I think that we have a pretty exciting matchup here brewing. It's going to be, especially the Ambessa pick. It's like, I can't quite get over that, to be completely honest with you. It feels strange to just like, the 1-1 ban Yone makes sense with how well the mid lane worked out for Michigan Tech last game.
Oh man, it was strong.
But it'll be interesting to see here. That is for sure.
If you're familiar with Zed, like what's Zed's general vibe? What's he do?
Just kind of a lurking menace is my experience with Zed. Maybe I'm just like maybe my Garen one trick brain is working a little bit too hard here. But I just feel like I felt like whenever I ran into a Zed, I was just like I was always a little freaked out.
It reminds me a little bit of what's the guy Spawn from the good old fashioned DC Comics.
Kind of similar aesthetically. I see what you mean.
Kind of skull faced. Definitely not someone I would like to meet in a dark alley. Luckily, not a lot of dark alleys in Houghton, Michigan.
Oh man, but it'll be interesting to see how these teams shake out. First time behind the desk for League of Legends. Don't get me wrong, but this feels like an unusually high amount of variance going from game 1 to game 2.
Yeah, and that's the kind of interesting thing when you have a game with so many heroes, especially as a well-established meta game. There's these patterns that people will generally fall into. They'll wind up picking the characters that are most efficient based on a patch. I know that we had a patch, I think, yesterday, 2 days ago. So that might have shook up a couple of things.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any major changes in that patch, but maybe there's something somebody saw they liked. Just giving something an interesting shake here. But
the one thing I saw was a slight nerf to Ambessa, and still looks like she's pretty strong.
Yeah, it seemed to work out pretty well last game. So we will see. But at the same time, that's the precarious situation you're in when you have 170 champions to try to balance. It's like as somebody who really the closest thing I got to this wide of a selection pool was probably when I was playing Rainbow Six back in the day.
Yeah, and that's like what, 30 characters?
When I was playing, there was about 30. I think there's like almost 60 now, actually, maybe more. But when I was playing, Caviera was insanely good. Like one-shot headshot with a secondary.
Oh.
Just very scary to go up against, and that's why I main Caviera. But
Cav is good.
But then of course the endless memes about Tachanka being the worst character in the game, which was very true and still kind of is, at least based on my understanding. It's been a little while since I played Siege as well.
He's the
but
one with the big placeable turret, right?
yes,
I think you would do well in League of Legends, as turrets are pretty strong.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what? Maybe just like having the classification as turret.
Yeah.
It's very strong. But
Beep boop, I am a turret.
but I know like Tachanka got fully reworked a couple of years ago, where I think it's like a like fire grenade launcher now.
Oh,
but
well.
it's not stationary anymore. Like it's a carryable thing.
That sounds
So
terrifying.
like complete total rework of how the character worked.
We could use a fire grenade launcher clearing out some of this mushy old snow that we
Yeah.
got here in Houghton, Michigan, and maybe we need that tomorrow, as it's supposed to be wet, cold, and pretty slushy.
Yeah, I mean,
March storm.
Especially, I mean, this morning waking up, I was like, I can see grass. There's a little bit of grass around my building. This is incredible. And then I checked the forecast. It's just like,
Up in Lorien, Michigan,
Yeah.
they had us snow plowed down. They had scraped down to the pavement. I haven't seen pavement
me neither.
in about 4 months.
Well, the thing was, is like there was a little bit of rain coming down this morning too, and it was still just below freezing.
Yeah.
So the second I get out of my apartment, just like the entire parking lot's slick.
Ah, it's
Like
hard.
the second I take a step, it's like, oh no, this is bad.
And maybe that kind of slickness was reflected in our Michigan Tech lineup that last match.
I mean, hey, showing caution while you're in a good position here. Just you don't want to slip and fall and make yourself look silly. And Tech didn't do that.
they stayed cool under pressure.
They were trained. The climate around us is making us better at League of Legends. There you go.
Yes.
That's the new narrative we have here.
They know how to walk on thin ice.
Yep.
In fact, they excel at it. And I'm not quite sure where Lewis University is, but I'm guessing it's not as far north as us.
No, it's nowhere near. I don't remember the exact town. Just give me 1 second. But it is a.
In fact, if you're going to have a mascot
there
like
you
the Flyers, I'm going to assume that it's a little bit warmer.
Yeah, they're in Romeoville, Illinois. So quite a bit further south. I mean, not quite sunny days right now for them either. Don't get me wrong, but probably somewhere in the 40s if I had to guess.
It
Which,
might
I
be.
mean, with what's apparently coming tomorrow, sounds pretty nice. Sounds pretty good to me. So.
And speaking of weather, while you're in chat, tell us what the weather's like down by you guys. Tell us where
Yeah.
your students are coming back from after spring break. Was it warm? Was it cold? What was it like?
Yeah.
We'd love to know. It looks like we're loading up here as our matches got about 26 seconds before we drop in.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to shout out before we get into the match here, Jake?
Nothing in particular, to be honest with you. I think just the big thing is going to be, can Michigan Tech preserve this momentum they built in game 1?
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
We might be excited about it behind the desk, but it really matters how our Huskies are feeling down in the pit below.
But at the same time, like, this is a game where you don't want to get overexcited, because that's when you start making these overly risky decisions and you
Yeah.
end up getting hurt in the end for it. So it seems like, I mean, we're not getting Overwatch team levels of loud from downstairs right now,
No.
which I have not heard one of our other teams get quite to Overwatch level loud. But
We know when they're feeling good.
oh yeah, Overwatch will make the entire building aware when they're doing well, and it's absolutely awesome. But it's like I'm getting like cool and collected. That's what we wanted. Do it again.
Yeah.
It's that simple. You know?
And as they stay cool, they're the ones that are going to be able to force mistakes coming out of the enemy team. That's how you're able to capitalize on it. Both of those teams applying pressure to each other, someone's going to crack. Someone's going to accidentally be out of place or warding river when they should be back in lane. And that's how you start to get these pickoffs. That's how you start to lose map control.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that got that ball rolling was really the Lewis bottom lane overextending, trying to push the turret a little bit too early, and just Misfortune got a ton of damage off very quickly in that push. And at that point, it was just kind of a lost cause. Support goes down, but Corky quickly followed after that. So
yeah,
if that's the kind of momentum that you could build early again, then as long as you keep playing consistently, I don't see how you can have any problem slamming the door shut here.
Yeah, feed a couple kills to music taps, and we'll see what happens again.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, that's for sure. But champ select going through in the game now for all of our League of Legends players. So that 3-minute timer is going to start pretty soon here to see if we can get into the lobby and going shortly. But no, I mean, I guess, how are things going for you so far, Alex? Like, I mean, just like anything crazy coming up this week? Anything that you got on your radar in particular?
No, we're pretty much just trucking on through. It's really nice again to just not feel the absolute bitter cold outside.
Yeah.
a couple of really fun things as far as video game history goes is one of my favorite series of all time had an installment launched this last week, Monster Hunter Wilds. It looks like a very beautiful game where you hunt these incredibly majestic creatures for
Yeah.
their parts to make big weapons to hunt
Yeah.
more creatures. But it's a game that's informed by ecology. It starts as just a respect for nature, and a lot of it just winds up being a take care of the space around you narrative. It's a beautiful thing. And if you haven't played it, and if folks at home haven't played it, I definitely look into it. It's got some of the best music. It's very heroic, and something that we could probably wind up playing if we get another heroic match like we had that last one.
But I mean, Monster Hunter is one of those franchises where I've always heard good things. It's just like it's one of those games where it's just like I put it on the list, and then there's 30 other games on the list.
Oh,
you
for
know,
sure.
like I mean, I'm in that spot with like Red Dead 2 right now. Like, I know it's awesome. It's sitting in my Steam library, and one of these days I'll get to it.
Red Dead 2 is one of those games that if you like cowboys in any reason, any slight variation of cowboys, you should play Red Dead. It's informed by Enrico Morione's music and all the spaghetti westerns, and the characters are super memorable.
Yeah.
I can't help it. I might have to fall into one of the characters. I love their voices. Like Arthur Morgan's just kind of this rough cowboy, and he's on the scene. It's just a great voice acting. My poor girlfriend has to deal with all of these strange voices that are upped out of me. And if she's watching, Emma, I did it on stream.
There you go.
But, you know, we like to have fun here. Much like the Huskies had some fun last round. They really came in. They let their territory, let their presence be known. And we're in and out.
If that is something that happens again here in game 2, I mean, that probably gets you in a good headspace just saying like we want to win the championship here.
Yeah.
You know what, like this is a small division. Every team's gotten to play each other now, so we're seeing the scope of the competition begin to really settle.
Yeah.
And this would be a really nice win for the League of Legends team to put on the board. Just say like we're gonna jump a spot in the seeding here. We want to get ourselves set up for the postseason really nice.
Yeah, and that's I believe what the Huskies are looking for. It's along with any of the, all three of the teams right now, League, Overwatch, and COD, we're sitting in some pretty strong spots.
Yeah, I mean, like as far as I know, everybody is in a good position to make the postseason so far. I mean, obviously, Overwatch and COD are currently undefeated, so they're off to a fantastic start. And Overwatch in particular, looking for a bye with those top 2 seeds. So they want to stay on top of that conference for sure. But so League, the one I don't even want to call it a precarious situation because like they're still pretty firmly in the playoff picture. It's just a matter of can they improve their seeding to try to get a more favorable matchup when it's win or go home.
Yeah, for sure. But one thing that isn't precarious and is actually quite clean is this general layout. I don't know that we've shouted it out just yet, but our IT guys, Nathan and Connor, put this together. We're able to see the heroes selection. We're able to stay on a screen like this. It's incredible work. So not only are our esports pretty fire, but I'd like to say this is a pretty good looking layout.
Yeah, like it still feels a little strange just how much of a step up it's been, especially like the graphics quality. I mean, we're still pulling from like a similar draft software that we've used all this time, but I mean, what a facelift for all this stuff. And I'm sure the players are amped about it. I'm sure, hopefully, for those of you watching at home, it's a much better experience for you being able to figure out exactly what's going on a little bit more efficiently. But now the players are loaded in, they're getting set up in their positions, and game 2 is underway. Michigan Tech's still going to be the red team here, while Lewis is the blue.
Yep, you look good, you play good, and it's all good here. Looks like was that our Basil towing up in bot lane, or was that still top? I couldn't quite tell.
Sure. Looks like Mad King's going to be lurking. Just waiting in the mid lane here.
And while they're in those bushes, they are entirely invisible. They get to see in and out of any of those corners. We get to see how the whole map looks because of our observer camera, but if you were to walk up to it, you wouldn't quite know.
Yeah.
It looks like Zed's in the mid lane, so that sounds like a scary position. Zed versus Mordenkaisen.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce it?
Mordekaiser.
Mordekaiser. There it is. He's here. Yeah, we're just playing a little bit of hide and seek as creeps begin to spawn. Nobody's stepping out or doing anything too crazy. No, the Mordenkaisen swaps out in the mid. It's Fiorina versus Zed.
And Fiorina probably not feeling too happy with the Yone 1-1 ban. But also, like, with how well that game went, it's just like, how do you not ban Yone after that? So, probably the right call there from Lewis, but we're going to see how it works out with a Zed in the mid lane now.
Yeah, and it looks like we've got music tabs on another just kind of pokey, barraging kind of ADC. And we're seeing those skills start to fly on and off cooldown right now. It looks like Nami and, oh, I can't remember who exactly we've got. But Nami, I guess, is a support hero. So I guess I was right. Poppy's going to be in the top lane. Mordenkaisen in jungle. And Poppy versus Ambessa. We'll see how this all winds up going. It looks like Lewis University pulling up with that level 2 in bot lane. They've got a little bit of a creep advantage as everyone's just kind of poking in, feeling each other out. Our Poppy pushing her advantage, getting some heavy damage on Tim. Way to go, Nug. That's a scary position. We know how scary Ambessa can be in lane. And it looks like Nug is not afraid.
Very aggro push here from Nug. Not going to pick up the kill, but doing a lot of damage. Going to force the Ambessa to stay back a little bit more.
And man, Mad King, Nami being able to just poke from that kind of a distance. I would be pretty scared if I was Ethan.
Oh, that's horrifying. Wait, that's insane range.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a Nami. I mean, I probably played in matches with a Nami before, but just like, I haven't had to deal with ADC at that distance.
Yeah.
Or support at that distance. Apologies.
And when you're just being kind of picked and chipped like that, especially in early lane or before you have major healing items or anything like that.
Oh, it's infuriating.
It's so bad. Zed, first blood goes to Fiorina.
Fiorina putting on an absolute show so far in both games 1 and 2. Nice start there for this game for the Huskies again.
Oh man, that is some artillery that they're just lobbing in. But it looks like Lewis University, I think that's the Milla that's able to heal up like that. That's a pretty strong team comp. And that's kind of what you're looking for. When you're playing a support character, you're looking for that mix of making sure that your ADC has health and that everyone else kind of stays out of your zone.
And look at this, Nugget in a pretty firm advantage here in the top lane, going up against Himbo again.
They're saying, you wanted Ambessa? Okay, you can have her. We know a couple of things that will make her quite angry. As Poppy's just getting in and slapping Ambessa with a lollipop.
Yeah, I love the giant lollipop melee weapon. That's pretty sweet. But here comes, I mean, just like, it seems like Nug just has a really solid territorial control setup right now.
Mid lane is looking a little bit spooky. We have Mordenkaiser poking in and around our jungles, but they retreat back across the other side of the lane, and that's kind of that. We're all just kind of feeling each other.
Are you going for Mordenkainen from D&D?
I think so.
That's
yes,
probably what
I'm a major D&D
Yeah.
player. I can't
Yeah,
help
there you
it.
go.
I'd be very surprised if they were not somehow inspired. But this is not a dungeon. There are perhaps dragons.
There are some dragons later, so.
There is plenty of fantasy going on as our teams are slapping each other with nonsensical weapons. That lollipop would probably give me a absolute sugar buzz. I'd be terrified about the results.
I mean, both of the top laners working with below half health right now. A very aggressive push here from Nug. Wants this kill. Timo's gonna get away for the moment, and looks like gonna be able to escape from that fight just barely.
But crap on the Lilia, that long range attack. That's a scary.
Yeah.
Oh,
they got to be scared of that.
Yeah. And same thing with Fiorina. Zed seems to be a similar kind of character to Yone, where you're slippery, you're tossing up doubles, and you're able to deal damage safely. But Way's still holding their own. They're both level. Nope. Fiorina's got the level advantage. Gold advantage is about the same though. So suffice to say, Lewis University is off to a little bit better start than they were last game. And again, these gold advantages are
very
small,
aggressive. Whoa.
But Zed's in, and he says, the tower? I'm not that afraid of it.
Yeah, that is going to be a trade, though. Fiorina does get killed by... Oh, no, it is a Hue ability that winds up getting the kill there. I don't think it was turret damage that actually got the job done there.
Yeah, so Hue does get the
gold? Or the gold from the kill, yeah.
But maybe not the XP. Something like that. Maybe they do.
I'm pretty sure as long as they landed the killing blow, they get both.
Wow.
But then Void Grub spawn up in the Baron Pit. The early Void Grub spawn here. We'll see if either team's able to pick up multiple stacks of Void Grubs here. Nug is trying to clear out that space, hoping Crafey can get up there.
And Nug, yeah, really fending off that Ambessa attack. Both of them are doing exactly what they did last round, which is get up in their faces and punch each other until one of them stops.
Pretty much. I mean, like, for now, I would say Fiorina is probably the furthest ahead as far as any particular lane goes. But, I mean, so far, pretty fairly balanced. I know the positioning for Nug looks a little bit more dire just because there's more minions there, more turrets, but also once those minions get cleared, Nug's just going to be able to clear out all these minions here.
And Poppy's able to push in and push back with these big AoE attacks.
Mhm.
But
And-
Red Tech takes the first Drake.
Yeah, Hextech Drake, I believe that's new since I played League of Legends the last two, actually. That might be a tie-in with Arcane, actually.
It's some tight branding, and boy, howdy, was that show entertaining.
Yeah, I know we talked about it quite a bit here, folks, but it's worth your time. Go watch Arcane.
And then after, come on back and watch some more Husky
Yeah,
Esports.
no, yeah, not like right now. Like once this game wraps up, then you can go watch Arcane.
Yeah, after you make sure to like and subscribe, of
Yeah.
course. But we've got just kind of a even setup right now. Both teams are tied with net worth. We've got dives going into blue jungle. We've got kind of a quiet pace, and this is the kind of thing that we were talking about in the intermission, where when you have these high pressure situations and both folks are playing safe and cool, it's hard to figure out where the cracks are. Furina finding one of those cracks, cracking down on the Hui. Hui doesn't have that kind of escape.
Yeah, Furina with all 3 kills on the board right now for the Huskies, just trying to get that snowball going, and mid lane is a fantastic place to do it.
And Zed's another one of those characters. And I think it could be said for anyone in League of Legends, but you start giving them enough kills, they'll find more.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much anybody except like all-in supports.
Yeah.
You are really scared of their kill count getting high.
And on a mid lane or two, someone who has access to either lane and only one person to worry about calling them missing, that's not what you want. Mid lane is there to gank.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Kraft is trying to work on a gank up top. As we continue to trade blows bottom lane, Kraft is really pushing into that Mbesa. It looks like we're getting
Ethan getting very aggressive here.
Big ults are popped. Oh, a lot of big ults are popped. They're saying, you're coming after us? I don't think so. That big wave coming out of Nami slows folks down, and there goes the reset.
They both lost about half their hit points, but they're still going all in. They're making really just aggressive attacks here. Violet taking some heavy damage. I believe that's the support here for Lewis, and that is... Oh, this is risky business. Oh, they're both pushing in, and now, Crap in trouble. Gotta get taken out by P1. And now Music Tabs somebody needs to get a kill here.
Yeah, it's looking pretty bad for our Huskies right now. Low health, low magic. That's going to open up the bot lane for Lewis University to start pushing in. And now you have to make the tough choice. Do I go back and spend the gold that I have? Do I save it to buy a more expensive item? That's the tough thing. Do you look for the short game advantage, or do you hold up for the long?
Yeah. I mean, the issue is here you're risking a good chunk of turret damage if you choose to recall right now. I mean, they're both still at such low health. I mean, my understanding of the intricacies of this game is nowhere near where our League of Legends teams are. I might have considered recalling there, I think, but also that's from a top laner perspective where I'm in a 1v1. I need to get back to full heal really quick. I don't have anybody to combo off of unless my jungler's there to help.
And in a league that your rank is denoted by precious minerals, my rank would be wood. I know this game a little bit less than nobody.
Yeah, I'm in a nice like plastic 3.
Yeah.
You know?
I just got out of cardboard leagues last night. We're seeing some more trades back and forth with Poppy and Mbesa. Nobody claiming the crown of the lane quite yet. Looks like Blue is looking to TP back home. But
I mean,
Nug finding...
Was that a bait? I don't know what the plan was there, to be completely honest with you. I'm not entirely sure what Timo was going for. Maybe just like, if the recall gets off, I'm okay with it. I'll just go back and buy, and if I get pushed, then I'll just try to spring a surprise trap on Nug, but looks like a bit more of a neutral result there. And now Nug, the only one in the top lane.
And Music Tab's in a rough position there. Milo being able to jump over the wall and just whatever that AoE damage, that burst damage, it's hard to deal with, especially at the early game. Early game ADC, attack damage carries, don't have a lot of health to work with. Their whole job is to make money so that they have the health to deal with. And that's going to open up void grubs for blue team. We're seeing a little bit of a rotation. Mishka scouts it out, but there's not much they can do. Mordekaiser he's strong.
Yeah, and Lewis currently in the gold lead right now, about 500 gold up on the Huskies total balance at the moment. So going to be very interesting to see how the Huskies... I mean, this is a fairly even game.
Yeah.
Like no team has... XPP just took out the arena. That's really nice for Lewis in the mid lane, though.
Yeah.
So I would say that gives Lewis the slight advantage at the moment, but it gives a chance for Fiorina to buy. This is absolutely a recoverable deficit by every mean.
Yeah, especially as Fiorina was able to get a couple of kills early. That's the kind of thing that you're looking for to start setting the pace of the game. Seeing that Fiorina was ganked by 2 other heroes too, like that's the
Mhm.
kind of thing that, yeah, you kind of have to chalk up and accept. Maybe he was overextended, maybe he wasn't. That's some of the things that is just good positioning on Lewis University's side, and we're happy to see it. This is not looking like the same kind of tempo that we had last round, as Music Tabs is kind of having their farming controlled, but we're seeing the 2-man gank in up top, and Besa being really hard to push down, but she's slowed.
Oh my goodness.
Good juke on her part, but
Oh, that's a big flash.
There's the flash.
That's a very big flash to save Mbesa in that fight. Cravenade are going to be able to pick up some heals at least, trying to just get back in this fight. And Mbesa just going to go right back in for another push.
As I'd expect, she's healing back up. She's getting some of her energy back, and that's going to make it harder for Nug to deal with. But Nug's not afraid.
I will point out during that fight, Lewis did take out one of the Drakes as well. So Dragons are even now as well. Both teams getting a buff from those.
Yeah, they recognize that Michigan Tech had 2 heroes up top. That means, hey, there could only be 3 bottom. We can take it.
Yeah.
One of those rotations that you just have to be worried about. Zed pushing in, Fiorina getting a little bit more damage mid lane, but both guys looking like they're about the same XP.
If I'm not mistaken, no turrets have gone down yet. Yeah, no. So, I mean,
looking
every
pretty
turret's still
clean.
standing. I mean, in a situation like this, damage has been chipped away at all the front turrets. I think you're hoping for a team wipe and a Rift Herald.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that I think they're trying to accomplish up top. Nug really
least the lane.
dangerously push underneath tower. Poppy not quite finding the Mbesa top lane, doing some major damage. We're getting Mbesa down to about half. Nug's not giving up. As we start to chip out with some little bit of skirmishing down in bot lane.
Music Tabs in a that's really risky.
For your ADC. And now Poppy, Nug is finding himself in a tough position. Mordekaiser up in his face. And this is the thing that we're talking about during the draft. Neither Mbesa or Mordekaiser are going to go down easy.
No.
And Milo, though, Zed going in for the big shuriken, not quite
take out
finding it,
Ethan.
but he pops him.
There you go. Needed that shutdown. Zed taking out Ethan. A big play there for the Huskies. Now down 2 kills after a hot start. But that is how you get yourself back in this game right there. Moves like that.
My apologies. That's not a Milo. I believe that's a Zaya. But regardless, yeah. A good shutdown for Fiorina. I believe there's a higher bounty the farther the character gets on their kill streak. So that money going again to Fiorina, not the worst thing for Michigan Tech.
Yeah, get your mid laner back in the game. Just try to build up an item stash a bit. And just make sure that you're able to fend off, especially in the 1v1s. There's still going to be time for a few more of those here. Pick up some kills, get yourself back in the kill counter.
Yeah. And we're seeing Lewis University pick up a $2,000 advantage as they're able to just take the control that they have right now and turn it into fiscal profits. They're getting a return on that kind of investment. Their portfolio is strong. But by no means is it the most overcoming obstacle. These numbers, again, don't mean much until our towers start to fall. We're getting a little bit of chip. Music Tabs just trying to figure out where it's safe to be.
Yeah, I mean, Music Tabs, I think, just a little bit behind on the XP curve at this point, just having trouble staying alive in these fights for long. And just a little bit scary, just maybe a little bit too far behind to make a real impact in these right now.
And we're seeing blue team pick up their first turret, if I'm not mistaken. No, they pick up the second. They picked up the safe lane, the bot lane turret, which is really going to hamper where Music Tabs can be. Because now that opens up the bot lane jungle for blue team to really start to have an influence on. And whether or not they are in the jungle in these bushes, or they just take that space and use it to push dragon and continue to stack these buffs.
Yeah,
it's a tough place for Michigan Tech to be in right now.
Yeah, definitely a scary spot at the moment, but like we've been saying, it's not insurmountable. Rift Herald is up. Going to be interesting to see how this shakes out. Huskies want to make a move for it, that's for sure, but right now Lewis has the better positioning and a little bit ahead as far as the gold stash goes. XP's pretty similar. But Huskies might try to go all in and take this Rift Herald.
They're shaping up for a kerfuffle. Mordekaiser down about half HP. Zed's going in. Alter pop. We got a lot of the CC
there you go with the shutdown.
And that money goes straight to Music Tabs. Exactly who we wanted on. And they're not done. Chasing down Tim, and Besa falls. That's a good fight for
That
Michigan
is a
Tech.
tide-turning team fight for Michigan Tech.
And we see that in our gold value. We're seeing that money start to tick up. We're 6-6 kills, and that's going to open up. Is that Void Grubs? No, that's Rift Herald.
Yeah, Rift Herald's a big play here. I mean, I'm not sure which lane you try to send it down here. I mean, I'm kind of thinking mid, but I think you can, or you can just save it for whenever you think you have an open lane to make a big push.
Yeah, but here's the problem now. Mid is getting pushed. Those
Yeah.
creeps aren't able to defend. We've got a strong combo between that way and Milo, and what do you do?
Yeah, like I mean, they're able to shore it up though. Turret's not going to go down quite yet, but it is very low on health. So for the moment, a brief respite in combat if the Huskies get pushed back at mid.
And Dragon's back up. Mordekaiser taking some more camps. And just what Lewis University wants is a bigger, meaner Kaiser. It's a scary thought.
Very scary plays there. I mean, like that Mordekaiser really has felt like the difference so far in this match for Lewis. Really just effective picks coming out of the jungle there.
Yeah. Lewis University suffering from just very poppable characters last time.
Yeah.
Not popping as easy this time. As Poppy goes in on top lane again, just chipping away, trying to make sure that Tim is not too comfortable in the top lane. These guys are really fun to watch.
Yeah,
they're trading very effectively. They're dipping in, dodging out.
Yeah, I mean, game one got snowbally early. We're seeing a lot more of that evenly matched play that we were kind of thinking was going to be the norm here in game two. Definitely a much more interesting game, I would say, than game one so far.
Yeah, Kaiser checking for some ganks, says blue team's shaping back up. They're checking Dragon. Is Dragon back up?
I believe Dragon is up currently. And then we're going to have
go to blue team.
We're going to have another boss coming up near the Baron Pit in 2 minutes. There's a blue turret going down. Nice work there. That's just Nug taking out the top lane turret.
With a little bit of help of Music Tabs, making it easy as Tabs is getting in and scouting out a little bit of jungle. They pop the Rift Herald. That's going to make the tier 3 a lot more tantalizing. Oh, holy damage.
That's going to be just a turret takedown right there. I will say Lewis did get the Drake that had spawned during this time. But still, that is going to pretty much take out the turret.
But
maybe an
Michigan Tech in a rough spot. 2 heroes against 2, and we lose Poppy. We lose Music Tabs. Fiorina in against Mbesa. Mbesa got the CC, and now Fiorina's out of resources. What do you do? It's kind of a tough position for Michigan Tech.
Yeah, it feels like that Rift Herald play is what pretty much dragged it back to even for the Huskies, and then just, unfortunately, there are a couple fights not going your way, and all of a sudden it looks like Lewis is back in the lead again, about a 3,000 gold lead.
Yeah, they've got a lot more control of the map this time, and they're doing a good job of leveraging that advantage into money, kills, and levels. It's one of those things that it's just wrestling in a lot of ways. It's just this tide facing off against another tide.
Oh, and there's a big Lewis push coming down mid here. They want to get rid of this turret. They're going to choose to recall, actually. Interesting choice.
They're looking at timer on top wave, maybe looking for wards. Kaiser just poking through the jungle. We've got a temporary reset, but again, the chips are stacked a bit against Michigan Tech in this position as they're 3,000 gold behind, though. I don't know. It's still very doable for Michigan Tech. We're in more of an even spot than we were last game. Again, we're 20 minutes in, and these games can get pretty long. 50 minutes is definitely not the longest game I've ever seen, and we might be heading that way.
Yeah, 25 minutes was pretty unusually short. Definitely a quickly wrapped up game there. There is a Ruinous Boss up near the Baron Pit now. Whichever team gets that can have a pretty massive advantage going into the late game here.
Music Tab's facing down a pretty tough gank as Kaiser gets in.
Music, just thinking everything on Music Tabs. Just no way to get out of that fight.
Because he was so scary last time.
Yeah.
Fury getting in with almost a kill, but Tim gets out. Some kind of restoration. The ult comes in, and it's not enough. Mad King, with a good heads-up play, knowing where their enemy team was, pulling everyone away, but Tim's back up to full. Violet's up to full. Kaiser's up to full. And we're still waiting for Music Tabs to get back. These are the kind of questions that you ask, where is my ADC going to farm? Where are they going to get this gold? How can we start getting these ganks? And that's a tough place to be in. And especially tough when you're playing. When you notice that your kills versus your deaths are not becoming an even ratio, it's hard to stay in the mindset of, I need to focus. I need to double down, lock in. Michigan Tech doesn't seem like they're slipping. But I know if I was in the same position, it would be kind of tough. I hear from the pit. I hear fight here, fight here, fight here. I can only assume that the boys are getting into some kind of good trouble here in the next 3 minutes, and we'll have to wait to see where it finds out. It's good to hear them getting nice and loud. We've got a big fight under the, what is this? The Abyss?
The Ruinous Mob. So I think it's a champion that's been like modded as a boss fight because it was a different champion last game. I forget the name of the one that we're seeing here, unfortunately, but it looks like Lewis is just completely surrounded this one. I don't think any Michigan Tech player is going to find a way into this one. Might go for a snipe if we're lucky, but that is not going to happen. And Ruinous Buff is going to be going in the favor of Lewis University, just trying to get that snowball going like they saw from the Huskies in game 1. But
we get a tower for it.
Huskies respond with the turret.
They find their opportunity to get in and get something of value. It's better than just giving the Ruinous away for free.
Absolutely.
But Furina's finding himself in a rough position as he's getting ganked by Mbesa. But Kraft is here for backup. He was expecting him to just be alone. Furina's still in a tough spot, juking and driving. Yeah. Tough place to be. Let's see if Kraft is going to open him up for the kill. That's asleep.
There you go.
Kraft gets a little bit more on the table now.
And a really important thing is not losing Furina in that fight. That was a very important death to avoid. Just trying to keep them off the kill counter as much as possible. Do not want to get any more gold in the Lewis pocket at this point.
Great heads up play, great positioning, making sure that, yeah, your team doesn't start to fight at a detriment. And getting Kraft some extra damage, some extra gold, that paid off quite nicely in the last round. Kraft really knowing where and when to fight, and looks like they're expecting to fight here in mid. We got 2 ganging up against.
That's a Rift Scuttler down there that they're fighting.
Oh, okay, it's not one of ours.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Red health bar, I know, but. And then it looks like there's going to be another dragon pretty soon here. There you go.
Dragons respond. Blue team calls out the red. They're going in on Zed. Zed seems stuck for a moment. You're in a being in a pretty good position. Now we're facing more of a 4v3. They're not quite able to pull one into the other. And here's where we're seeing the effect of these long range attacks. Mad King on that Nami and Kraft on Lilia, they're able to lob these spells that not only deal damage, but they give you an idea of where someone is. Because when a spell collects, you get to see that hero. We've got Violet stunned out.
Fight.
And
this is huge for the Huskies. 2 big kills there. Look at this work by Michigan Tech.
Mad King goes down, and that's not too bad. Tim gets in. We lose our no.
The Huskies. Okay, Mad King went down, but 3 kills there in favor of Michigan Tech. Can Furina get away? No, unfortunately. But
Furina goes down, but we're able to pick up the dragon on Kraft, giving him the extra buff, and that's enough to clean up another. We're in kind of a messy fight here. But in fights like this, when the team is behind,
Timo,
that's better for the team that was behind. Every trade like this just becomes more and more in Michigan Tech's favor. Yeah. So while we might have lost a comparable amount of heroes, they're worth more gold.
Yeah, I will say too, I mean, that was distinctively a win for Michigan Tech.
Definitely.
They picked up the Drake. That was a complete ace. They killed all 5 players. And that bounce on Timo was a huge deal in that early team fight. Just completely eliminating one of the players from that team fight in the early goings there. Allowed for an early kill. Gave them the man advantage. And while they did lose 3 players, it wasn't necessarily a clean team fight.
Definitely a good
Still
fight for
absolutely something getting the ball rolling in the right direction. And look at the gold lead now. It's down to about 1,000. Kill lead is only 1 kill in favor of Lewis. That pretty much brings this game back to a draw, especially if they can take Baron here.
Yeah.
Michigan Tech can see themselves firmly in the lead.
Yeah, and Music Tabs being able to pick up a couple of kills, stay around for the gold, the trickle, the XP, that's a big win for Michigan Tech.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great heads-up play, bouncing Mordekaiser out of the way. He wants to be in your face, but he doesn't have a great way to get there. He wants to grab you and pull you into him. It's not like he could just ride up on a motorcycle and just say, hey, I'm here now. Bouncing over the wall, really going to be frustrating for Lewis University. Great heads up on that positioning. That's the kind of thing that we're looking for out of our Huskies, is just good, smart plays.
And Michigan Tech set up to at least make the initial push for going for Baron here.
Wow, we're within $600 of each other. That is a gold. That gold gap that was 3K at one point is now back and tied.
That's the thing. Like, I mean, this game can snowball. It can get out of hand, but when it stays fairly close, like we had it, like Lewis was getting to the point where it gets scary quickly.
Yeah.
But Michigan Tech, huge team fight win, brought themselves right back into this game, picked up another kill as well, taking out Violet, and now A bit of a risky
That's-
situation there for Fiorina, but looks like going to be able to get out alive.
But knowing that Violet, their support's
Mhm.
down, that puts us at a 4v3 in the Baron pit. And with tied values, that's
Mhm.
something that Michigan Tech's here to gamble for.
This is still a scary situation. Potential
Yeah.
Baron snipe here for Lewis. That would really slow down the Huskies on this comeback attempt. Cryphinator getting a lot of damage dealt. That's a shutdown. And
Music
that
Techs,
is,
it's tough.
oh,
It's looking like a rough position for Michigan Tech. Lewis University coming out and baring their teeth.
can
They
Nug find a way
caught
out?
us out
No.
pretty good. Music Tabs though, gets knocked down too. And Fiorina just able to get away. That XPPM's really playing quite strong.
Yeah, fantastic work on the Mordekaiser so far. And now look at this. Now Lewis is going to be able to just walk back over to Baron Pit. And I mean, all the Huskies are down. They got to wait to respawn. So this is going to be likely a fairly quick cleanup here for Lewis. Maybe Cryphinator can get there just in time to go for a snipe.
And Crave's got the abilities that are long range and capable of making a play like that. But as long as Fiorina is tied up and dealing with Tim, though he's getting a pretty good lead, not quite enough to get out. Good heads up play, teleporting as soon as he expected a gank out of the bushes. I probably would have fallen for it, but Mordekaiser being scary. Huey's got his
Huskies looking for a snipe here. Oh, there's somebody in position. Oh, Lewis is going to get the kill. Try to get in there and get a sneaky play on Baron Nashor, steal that buff, but unfortunately, Lewis going to have a pretty significant advantage here for the next few minutes.
Yeah, and now Lewis has got a 4K gold buff.
Yep.
Like, we're back in the position that we were. Tech is showing that they are capable of closing that gap.
For sure.
We'll have to find out what happens. We've got the Baron buff on all folks. They're going to start pushing in. This is the interesting question too. In a position like this, where do you focus? Where is Lewis University going to put their pushing efforts? Pushing being like getting those creeps under towers. They can't commit to all lanes. Huskies will gank somebody.
Interestingly, it looks like they're going for a team fight here. I mean, they've got 3 people sitting in the river. They might turn this into a mid push, but it looks like they were trying more to catch the Huskies off guard, pick up some more kills while Baron buff is active, which, I mean, you'd expect more of a lane push, but for now, the timer's winding down on that Baron buff, and at the moment, Lewis hasn't done a ton with it, not getting too aggressive anywhere.
That's showing that Lewis is respecting Tech as a potential threat. But Poppy being caught out right here, we know that Nug is capable of a lot of crazy things, but that's 3 heroes. Nug gets
Another rejection.
big push on Kaiser. Nice job saying, XPPM, you're going to take a break over here for a little while. A little bit of a chippy fight. We're seeing a lot of big spells used, but now Dragon spawn. And while Tech is getting the reset, they're able to dodge the big claw. Good heads up play there for Kraft. But now Lewis University is in kind of a position to start threatening Dragon. They're not able to quite get the pick off that they want. You can see that there's a lot of damage going on 2 different fronts right now. They're not able to just designate a target and get them, but they're really wanting to chase down after Kraft. Kraft being just nimble enough to get out and away. And right now we're fighting out under a broken down tower. This is good for Tech.
Yeah, like the best way I can try to like relate what's happening right now to another sport is like think of the Baron buff as like a power play in hockey.
For sure.
Like it is a distinctive, significant advantage, but it's a very time limited thing. So if you could keep the balance of power roughly similar while the Baron buff is active and you're the team without it, that's kind of a win in your book. I mean, if
and Lewis University pushing up under the Dragon right now, Michigan Tech says, you're not getting that. Not for free, at least. We're going to get a little bit bloody.
Michigan Tech
Big
appears to be at
CC
least
wave.
kind of winning this fight.
Guys are getting pushed out again. Let's see if we get anything spicy out of it. Kraft getting pretty close, trying to deny himself the Dragon, but it's not quite there. Nug getting stuck in the middle of 3. Nug's going to go down 2. That's kind of rough. 4 Huskies down. They're not willing to make it 5.
Yeah.
And there's Lewis University taking Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
They said, hey, that first game was looking pretty strong. We're here in force. We're clapping back. And it doesn't look like Michigan Tech has the damage they need after Kaiser gets pushed out of the fight. Lewis University did a great job of retreating, bounding together, and then throwing out a lot of big damage as a concentrated force after we'd already pushed out some big CC, some big damaging spells. That's hard to see. Fiorina doing a great job of staying alive, though. That Zed is slippery, very much like his Yone in the first game.
I mean, for a moment, it seemed like Michigan Tech even maybe had the advantage in that fight too, was the thing. But it's just nice conservative play there by Lewis. I will say Baron buff has faded now. You don't see the little purple shroud underneath all the champions, so that buff has completely faded. So
Yeah.
they're not going to be quite as strong, but obviously they have a little bit of added momentum because of that one team fight. So we'll have to see how the Huskies respond here. It's by no means out of hand still. I mean, considering the Huskies have been mostly playing from behind for really the past 20-25 minutes,
Yeah.
like they've done a good job of keeping it reasonable. It's just, can they make the plays necessary to get themselves back over the hump and back in front in this game?
Yeah, Lewis University is showing that they definitely respect Tech's ability to close that gap. They're playing incredibly smart. And we're back to kind of a neutral position. We're looking like we're waiting for Tim to overcommit in the top lane and maybe fall for the bait with Nug, but that gank is sniffed out. They noticed the ward. We got a couple people chipping at each other in the river, but nobody's really committing anything big right now. We don't know what their alts look like, but that Mordekaiser coming in. He's looking for the big grab. Doesn't quite get it. The catapult will catch it instead. And that is a good play. We're at another reset. This is the kind of thing, too. The longer this game goes on, too, the easier it will be for the Huskies to, when they get a kill, when they get some farm, start to close that gap. Any slip up now from Lewis University is crucial that they try to command that lead. Michigan Tech has to, again, stay cool. And they've shown that they can do that in the first game.
Absolutely.
We've got 3 in the mid lane. Now we're just trying to figure out what the objective is. Lewis University is controlling the pace of this match right now, but your major objectives are taken care of. Dragon's still down for a while. Baron's still down for a while. Void Grubs aren't really, they don't seem to be the focus right now. So what do you do as Lewis University? The answer so far is just wander around in the jungle and try not to die, which is going to free up some farming space for Zed. It's on Furina or Music Tabs. Nug getting comfortable again with Mbesa, getting backup from Mad King. We'll see if that translates to anything, but it doesn't look like Tim is afraid as Violet starts to come in with a long range attack. It looks like folks are starting to group up to push that third tower, but we've got an overcommittal here. And
there you go.
That's a kill for Kraft. We like to see kills for Kraft.
I mean, that bounce has just turned the tide in so many fights here. There's another Baron Nashor spawn. That might be Tech's opportunity to get back in this game, but they got to get out of this team fight first.
And they got to start getting that death timer on Lewis University. Everyone looking about at the same HP. That's a tough position to be in. It looks like Poppy's healing was canceled, and Lewis University is going to try to retreat. They're not going to go all the way back to base. And Zed says, I know that. But this is a precarious position. They're not able to close the gap and initiate like they had in the first game, and initiating straight into a Mordekaiser is a kind of rough position. So we're going to go back to chipping.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing there was Tech did force Lewis to retreat. The issue is because their positional advantage, and the kill is very big for Tech trying to get their way back into this game. But, oh, look at this. Tech might be making an all-in play for Baron Nashor here. This would be probably the most efficient way to get yourself back in this game quickly.
Yeah, they're scouting for the wards, and they recognize that Lewis University isn't on this side of the map. Where
they all recalled. Can they kill Baron before Lewis gets there?
They've got some pretty good damage right now.
Oh, that
Baron
might
buff
be
would be pretty
massive.
strong. It's getting down to the bottom third, and Lewis University's nowhere to be seen. They're giving up Baron.
That is a very interesting call from Lewis. I'm just not like, maybe they thought the Tech's positioning wasn't as good as it was, because that was a sneaky 5-player Baron kill. And just like that, Huskies all of a sudden have a bit of an advantage on the push here.
Yeah, and it's that kind of, when creeps die easier, you farm easier, and that's going to open up for all these guys. Now, again, the question is, where do you put your attention? Do you fight as 5? Do you put the folks that need to farm off on side lanes and just try to hold off for as long as you can? We're already seeing that Michigan Tech is surrendering their jungle to Lewis University, which is not great. We need that money right now.
Well, the big thing is they pushed back into that jungle to try to force them back towards the river. Like, get them out of your base. Don't let them sneak up behind you, because there's been a lot of plays this game for Lewis where they've just been able to sneak behind the Tech offensive push, and all of a sudden, all the players are surrounded. There's nowhere to back out. There's nowhere to retreat and heal up.
But now with Baron buff, Michigan Tech is saying, hey, I don't know that we want you to have that dragon.
Lewis does take it. But
Kaiser does take it. But we got big damage going back on Ethan. We got big damage on Plox. Unfortunately, Michigan Tech's got some damage too. Are they able to pick it up? They get one.
Takes out Ethan. I think P1 goes down as well. XPMM at full HP in this fight is insane. Mad King needs to get out of there, because this Mordekaiser has been feeding all game long. Huskies, Not quite the result you want in that team
But
fight,
it's
but
still a
got away
2-1.
relatively unscathed.
Still a 2-1, and we still have got Baron buff, which means maybe we're gonna get a little bit more farm on music tabs. Maybe we're gonna get a couple more utility items on Mad King. It's a tough position. We see that Lewis University is very intent on bringing down Kraft. They recognize that Kraft's long range ability, his ability to weave in and out of fights is one of the major key players right now. And I wonder if we saw our damage tables exactly what that would reflect. But I gotta say, Tech's in a good spot right now.
Absolutely.
Pushing a tier 1 is a pretty smart move. We've got big damage going on their tier 2, and that's going to open up all sorts of opportunities for Michigan Tech to continue to push that aggression into Lewis University's jungle, or start to restrict their access to Dragon or Baron or Void Grubs. Now it's putting us on basically even footing. They're saying, you've pushed us back to the river enough times. We're coming in to your territory now, and it looks like we're getting cozy here. It's Michigan Tech.
It's exactly that. Baron timer is going to lose here pretty soon, and it hasn't faded quite yet, so a few more seconds on that Baron timer. So they're going to lose their buff advantage here, but they've gotten themselves to more of a similar footing as far as XP goes, as far as the gold count goes. You can see it's down to less than 2,000 gold difference between these two teams now.
Now we got a real match.
Yeah.
Now we got a real match.
This is getting kind of scary for Lewis. They've lost 3 turrets in a row as well. Tech making territorial gains across the map.
And these are the kind of swings that I'm talking about in MOBAs, is when you see a big advantage. There was a point at which Lewis was up by 7K. That kind of gold advantage is surmountable. They weren't quite able to close it out. Tech took a couple of very smart plays as the objectives were questionable, and really being able to force Kaiser out of the fight with slows, with big displacements. That's some good heads-up plays.
I mean, you really, at this point, you feel like there's going to be a big team fight brewing here pretty soon. Whichever team walks out of that alive has the distinct advantage in this game.
And that's the thing that you're seeing. Both teams are stuck on either side of the river. They said, you guys stay on your side, we're going to stay on our side. We're going to make sure our carriers get the items that we need to be successful. You think that you're just going to come in and sneak Baron? Nah, we'll place a ward there. You think that you're going to come in and sneak Dragon? Nah, we'll get some vision over there. We're seeing a little bit of a group up, a little bit of a scrappy force, 3-on-2 over here. Kaiser pulling in, but Nami's able to dodge out of the grasps, and that's that. Lewis University wasting time on a failed gank is better for us. Nug pushing deep into the river, down bottom, pushing in against who's their mid? Plox?
I believe so. Or no, Plox might be their jungler. I mean, at this point, positions have pretty much eroded. Like, this is largely going to be a team fight from here on out.
Yes.
Oh, Crafe's in trouble here.
Yeah, but he's
Get
got
out of
an
there.
ethereal effect, but they're glued to him. They are not going to let Crafe out easy, and they recognize he's a high priority target.
Absolutely.
A good heads up play. Nug being stuck on the other side of the river too opens that up. They're not able to push XPPM out of this fight, and that comes at the cost of Crafe's respawn timer. But tier 3 goes down. We're stuck in a 4v5 situation right now. Nobody has Baron buff, luckily. And pushing into a tier 3 tower is incredibly risky. Even when you have advantage, as soon as that creep wave dries up, those tower hits hurt at any stage in the game. They are incredibly dangerous. So you kind of have this short window of opportunity to really get something out of it. They pulled the tier 2 tower, but not able to get too much more other than a little bit of map control.
And Michigan Tech, I mean, despite losing a player there, they didn't let the shorthanded fight get to them. They did the right thing. They retreated back to the turret with plenty of health, plenty of shield to help them survive that fight. Didn't overextend. That could have been very messy. They could have lost a lot more than just Crafenator there.
Yeah, and if Tech would have lost another champ in that kind of a spot, that cracks the game wide open.
It really does.
So good, cool heads out of Michigan Tech.
And Baron 3.0 spawning here pretty soon by the looks of it.
In my understanding, Barry gets more health every time he responds.
I think slightly more, yes.
That's going to make it, that could be the difference between one team getting it or the other. We saw Michigan Tech making short work of it last time, but Lewis University saying, we're not interested in giving it away for free this time. We're pretty aware of where Baron is and where you guys are, and we're interested in fighting right now. The big stun comes out, but it doesn't clip enough. Crafe in a risky position right now. A big beam.
Nice
Crafe got a good dodge. And that's, while we might have to go back and lick our wounds, we've got a lot of big abilities on cooldown right now.
Yeah, all those stacked buffs are scary at this point. I mean, 4 Drakes working for Lewis University. I mean, they're smaller
We're
buffs than something like
seeing
Baron,
a
but they...
gank coming on Tim. Sorry to interrupt,
No, you're
but
good.
it looks like we've got
That's
a chance
nice.
to dance. But with Mbesa going down, that's going to open up Baron. So what do you get out of it? We get a little bit more gold, but now they are in the driver's seat. Lewis University with Baron buff is a force to be reckoned with.
The good news is Michigan Tech is setting themselves up nicely for Drake. Also, one of the players for Lewis is down for the next 45 seconds. They have time where they're shorthanded. Baron buff is scary, obviously, especially because they're just going all in on that top lane turret.
Yeah.
And they've correctly read Michigan Tech here, going all in on that Drake. And that means they're going to gain a lot of territory here. Tech needs a quick kill, a recall, and then to get back now. Oh, look at how quick they're carving through.
Barracks going down, and that's going to make it a lot harder to defend the top lane. It's something to worry about now during any of your team fights. You have to worry, where are those creeps in the top lane? Well, right now they're going to be chewing on those tier 4 towers.
The Huskies do get the Elder Dragon buff, so that is very nice for them. That's going to be a big boost to them going into this last bit of the game, but it gave up a lot of territory for that. An inhibitor is down, so they're going to start seeing super minions spawn up in that top lane. Just something more to worry about. You cannot leave the top lane unattended now until that inhibitor respawns.
But with a push advantage like that, Lewis University still has Baron buff, but now their waves aren't as pushed out. They could go top wave and try to absolutely brute force into the base. That's not a smart choice. So right now we're seeing them kind of have to cool their heels with the Baron buff and try to find a new way, try to find a new advantage to pry in against Michigan Tech's defense. As Michigan Tech starts to take over their northern jungle, everything has a cost.
Look, I mean, Tech at this point, the only thing that they're going to act on while the Baron buff is active is if they catch a player truly alone.
Yeah.
That's the only reason they engage in a team fight right now. They just want to slow down Lewis, get this buff exhausted, try to buy themselves some more time.
They're saying, hey, Nug, we know that we're not going to have a fight in the next couple of minutes. Can you go and push out top wave? Nug's up there. We're at a 4v4 or 4v5 fight right now, but it doesn't look like Lewis is willing to press the advantage. They're going to wait for Michigan Tech to break upon their tower. And we're doing it while they have Baron buff.
Yeah, they are hoping the Huskies overextend here so that they can go for a team wipe and just run right over and win this game. That is the big strat that I'm seeing here, but it looks like they're just still receding, still a little bit cautious about what the Huskies have up their sleeve here.
This is an interesting position for Michigan Tech for sure. As it's really hard to use Baron buff when your towers are getting pushed.
Very, yeah. But like that's the thing here is that the Huskies need to keep playing this smart. They cannot overextend. As tempting as that turret looks right now.
Creep wave comes in. I think
can
we're going
get
to see
very
something
scary.
coming out of Lewis University. They're going to start throwing in their long range attacks, but we're able to bring down the tier 3 tower. We've cracked their base open. So we might be worrying about super minions. Kaiser goes down. Let's go, Michigan Tech.
That is a huge turn for the Huskies. And look at this inhibitor now wide open for the Huskies. They're going to have some action mid lane. Look at this. Lewis is trying to recall.
Oh, we're in their base. We're taking their creeps.
Inhibitor goes down. All 5 players in the Lewis base for the Huskies.
And Michigan Tech saying, hey, we've pushed in for our advantage. We know that we don't have enough juice to push you guys down entirely. And there's inhibitors going down in our base. Oof.
But they saw that. They're getting back. That's what they're going for here. Now the question is, can they get out alive in this fight? Mad King taking a lot of damage, very low on HP. Gonna get taken down.
But Kaiser is still on cooldown. There was a good heads-up play by their Mbesa, Tim sneaking out. That's how we were able to push that advantage. But, Magic Tabs gets pulled down again. We're finding that he's just not got enough survivability in these kind of situations.
Yeah,
he
that
doesn't
HP
have the
bar
same
is
kind
a
of
little
barrage.
too small. Yeah.
It's tough to have that positioning when these guys are constantly just diving just smartly and strong.
Yeah.
And with a push like that, it looks like Lewis University is going to just take Michigan Tech's jungles.
Yeah, nice work on that response there from Lewis, because that was a very effective play for Michigan Tech. Part of that is because Lewis had a player up towards the Michigan Tech nexus getting that inhibitor destroyed. But, I mean, I'd say fairly balanced trade there, which, as far as this goes right now, that is in favor of Michigan Tech.
Yeah, we're still within a 2 grand
it's
economy.
Like Michigan Tech has kept it very close this entire time. They have not had the lead for a very long time, but they've always kept it within arm's reach.
This is a good game. We see Lewis University grouping up mid and Mbesa lagging from behind. Michigan Tech probably is going to sniff this out and say, hey, we have to deal with super minions fast.
Yes.
Lewis University is coming to make this even harder for us. All 3 waves with super minions is pretty close to a death sentence. Not saying that I haven't seen wins come out with a situation like that, but that is definitely a hard position to play from, because now you have to dedicate a lot more resources to making sure that your base isn't immediately being swarmed.
And this is likely going to be...
Oh, look at that tier damage. That's hard.
Yeah. This is a potential last stand for Michigan Tech if it does not go their way. But if they can hold off Lewis here, just buy themselves some more time, get set up. Baron is going to respawn soon. That's something to keep in the back of their mind. But right now, their focus needs to be get Lewis away from here. If we can pick up...
They're going in on Ethan. There's some
This is
big CC
risky
going in.
stuff.
Furina, he's still up. He's not dropping yet. Oh, we lose Craftinator, we lose Furina. That's a pretty tough position to be in.
Okay, Red Inhibitor does respawn, but it's going to be quickly destroyed because it has no turret protecting it.
Potentially, but we're facing off against Lewis University 3v5, and Michigan Tech's still in a strong position. That just goes to show that fighting under tower without creeps is a pretty bad position to be in. We're seeing a lot of big damage spells, a lot of big numbers coming out. Poppy, Nugtart, really holding their own, but they weren't able to push Mordekaiser out of the lane.
Oh, Ethan really overextending here.
But Michigan Tech isn't capitalizing on it. They understand that the rest of Lewis University is right behind them, and Ethan's safe. What do you do? He's got the healing. He's got the damage. It's a tough position for us to be in.
Turret goes down, inhibitor goes down, and now the last stand for Michigan Tech. Can they find a way to get out of this
Nugged
alive?
in. He's going in against the Invasive, but Invasive comes out strong. He's able to get the health back. Ethan going in, resurrected.
Oh, they've
It's a
got a
big
res- oh, they've got the
spell.
sword, yeah.
The tough position for Michigan Tech.
That is going to be it.
It very well might be, but we got a couple of respawns coming out here. Kraft's back, Furina's back. It probably is the end of the core, but I've seen crazier things. Good game. Lewis University coming out after a long slog, this stranglehold. We're seeing shades of the last series.
Yeah, I mean, this is... You can't let that get to your head if you're Michigan Tech.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about. This is what happened last time.
Both teams played a really strong game.
Yeah, and Michigan Tech just, they cannot get in their own heads. You had them on the ropes game 1. You kept that game close for 40 minutes while pretty clearly behind. But, you made a few really nice pushes, got it back to pretty much even a few times. Just needed one more team fight to go your way, and you're back in the driver's seat.
For sure.
So if that is something that the Huskies can get in control of on game 3, then they are by no means out of this match.
Oh, for sure. And I'd just like to give it up to both teams with that. In the Playfly League that we've been watching so far, COD's been very strong for our teams. Overwatch has been very strong for our teams. And seeing a good, solid league series like this is entertaining. This is exhilarating to cast. As far as my first cast for League of Legends go, I couldn't have asked for a better game.
Yeah, they're putting on quite a show for us, I'd say. But, I mean, that game got pretty close to 50 minutes long. And, I mean, you were talking about it, long games are not out of the ordinary here. But
especially with teams as talented as the two that we have in front of us.
Absolutely.
We know that both of them are capable of really pulling the rug out from one or the other. And we'll have to see our guys lock in for this third round. Do you think that we'll see Mbessa in another draft? Or do you think she's going to be banned outright?
I mean, Mbessa's been on the winning team both games now.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. I think they probably ban Yone again, to be honest with you. I mean, we saw some pretty solid work there from our mid lane, but it's just it wasn't quite the same success comparing Zed to Yone.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a big thing. That's a big difference.
Furina definitely showing that he knows how to gank. He knows how to press an advantage. And I think Lewis University is recognizing that. A lot of the times that we catch one of the characters out, Lewis would be there to dive back in with a couple of their supports. They've really positioned pretty nicely. I'd like to give it up to Lewis and Michigan Tech too. They were both playing their objectives incredibly strongly. That came down to both teams having to push through tier 3 towers. That's a close match.
And I think, just the big thing was, one team fight doesn't go your way. I would have liked to see a little bit more aggression when you had the Baron buff on your side. From both teams, really. It seems like they played very conservatively when they had the Baron buff active. And for Lewis, it worked out a bit in their favor because while Tech took a lot on that push as they were trying to retreat and avoid getting killed. They still lost a few players and gave up really good positioning to Lewis on the rebound there.
Yeah, the chase from Lewis University was incredibly strong. They were lobbing out these long range abilities, which what you want to do when you're on a retreat like that is try to get over some kind of terrain and then recall home. Right. And we weren't able to do that. You could see that anytime that we took a fight that was unfavorable to us, we wound up routing and losing so many more characters. And I think that's just based on their ability to throw out these big light beams, these big damage, and scout us out of these bushes. Good heads up for them. But it gotta say, super entertaining to watch Mordekaiser to get punted out of so many of those fights.
There was like 6 team fights where it's just like Mordekaiser, nope, gone, get out of here. No, we don't want you here. And I mean, and a few of those, that really was the difference.
Yeah,
was the thing. I mean, do we see a similar comp from Michigan Tech this time? I mean, like it's tough to say you want to go back to what happened with, or like what you ran with on a loss, but like it seemed like they were starting to really pick up pieces there. It's just like during that mid game they lost the ball a bit.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that the guys will have to think about is you can tell that their team fight was all about tossing these big AoEs, these big crowd controls, all at the same time.
Yeah.
And when it worked beautifully. But trying to get more than 2 heroes in that Nami wave, or trying to get these AoEs to line up, was not super consistent, especially when you have Ambessa and Kaiser just barreling down onto your somewhat squishier characters.
Yeah.
And those cooldowns take time. Those positions are 1 in a million. And it was really inspiring to see Music Tabs continuing to fight in the middle and get chased down. But he was in there for a great part of the match. Lewis University just slightly outmaneuvering or being able to pull someone into their death ball seemed to be the sealing deal. So what do? Do you go for beefier characters? Do you go for more slippery characters? We know that Fiorina is incredibly good at playing characters that can teleport in and out of these kind of positions. His Zed was incredibly useful. The Yone was incredibly scary.
That was probably, I mean, that and the Mordekaiser for Lewis have been like the most like single player I'm in control that we've seen so far out of either of these games.
Yeah, and we recognize that Lewis University, they might have struggled more with the pickoffs in the first game, but the second game they were playing more consistently death ball. So do you play an initiator on your top lane that has a bigger stun, or do you want to go for bigger damage? Do you want to go for big AoEs? Do you want, like, what's the plan? Or do we just need more healing? Is that as simple as it is?
I mean, like, maybe you find a healer as support. I mean, what other supports do we see here, maybe? I'm trying to think of, I mean, we see Mel, Poppy. I'm not sure. This is going to be very strange to see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what both of them wind up drafting up. The Misfortune seemed like they had a really, really good pick in that first round where they were able to blast out that AoE damage and good positioning. And I think we tried a similar route. And we'll see what they pick this time.
Yeah, AoE at range seemed to kind of be the kryptonite for Lewis. And I mean, part of that was the Yone like extending and being able to teleport out. Like that's a scary ability to run into. But it's going to be really just, the question is, has Lewis caught on to what they think makes Michigan Tech tick? And have the Huskies figured out the inverse?
Yeah.
I think, honestly, the bans might be more important than the picks here.
I think so too. So who would you ban then?
I mean, so from Lewis, I think I'm still scared of Yone, so I ban Yone in the first 3.
That's fair. Does that mean that we allow Michigan Tech to wind up picking up an Amumu or maybe a Mundo as someone who's just going to be big, sticky, and scary?
I mean, God, I'm not sure. Like, it just feels like Tech has enough maneuverability. Like, I mean, the Huskies play enough of a varied set of champions.
It's impossible to pin down, right?
Yeah, there's no like hard counter. We're getting rid of this. Good luck. But I mean, like they've seen success with the Yone. I think that I mean, if I had to guess, Tech gets Mordekaiser out of there immediately. There's no
I would
way.
think so. That was definitely an issue. And in League of Legends, is there someone that would be a good hard counter? Is there someone that would like deal percentage health and make sure that Kaiser doesn't get to play, or someone who puts out big slows, big webs, like we saw them control them in the last game?
I mean, okay. As someone who played Master Yi many years ago, It'd be sick. I'm just saying. It'd
You
be
want
fun.
to see the Yi? Is that what
A
you're
Master
saying?
Yi would be so much fun, and you can't convince me otherwise.
Hey, big crits might be the scary
But
thing.
I mean, I think I haven't looked at a champ tier list lately, but I'm pretty sure Master Yi's near the bottom. But it's like,
If anyone could pull it off, though, it seems like Kraft is very scary in that
yeah.
jungle, and they seem to prioritize him in that last match. Him on Lilia was very scary,
Mhm.
and you could tell that Lewis University did not want him to survive those fights.
No, yeah,
He was
they were targeting Kraft, and I mean they kind of went after music tabs as well, just like trying to just like knock out a player immediately. And those were the two players with the lowest health pool. But it felt like Kraftinator was like getting more AOE damage off in those fights, being a little bit more of a menace, and actually able to kind of like just because the health bar was so low for music tabs, like it just felt like the second you enter a fight, half your health bar is gone. Like
yeah,
what do you do?
yeah.
You know, and it's just like got stuck in 1v1s or 1vx's so often that it's just like getting out of those was impossible. You couldn't provide the utility you needed to.
Right.
So, I mean, I think just beef up a little bit. Try to play. I mean, I wonder if they try to go like really quick out of the gate here too. Like I mean,
I I was thinking maybe they'll put Nug on someone who he's very comfortable with.
yeah,
Because if he can win that top lane, we've seen that he loves to dance with their top laner. If he's
Mhm.
able to really control the situation, he might be able to rotate more frequently and
yeah.
really push an advantage. I wonder if
Like
this now
Pantheon, somebody like that. I don't
maybe
know.
Pantheon could keep a lot of folks alive. Big
Yeah, like
shield,
I don't know. Like I mean, it's gonna be an interesting pick.
maybe Leona.
Leona could work too. I mean, I have a couple of champs that I know Nug likes to play.
Maybe Garen.
I please. But well, Garen's so slow is the thing, and like I mean, like in the mid game and late game, Garen gets scary just because it takes so long to get into a team fight. Your ranged options are super limited. Like you basically have to use your ultimate to get into a fight with
Yeah,
Garen.
well,
Um,
we see that they are respecting Craftinator's ability, and we're banning the Zyra
there we
outright. We're
go.
banning the Yone outright. They're saying,
Mhm.
we didn't like those characters from the first round.
Yeah,
We're gonna make sure you guys don't do it again.
Oriana gets banned. That's an interesting pick. I'm like,
I know that Oriana's been strong in and out of the
mhm.
game's history, and if I'm not mistaken, Oriana's ADC.
And there goes Ambessa.
There
There
she
will be
is.
no game 3 Ambessa, folks. I hate to break it to you. That leaves Mordekaiser open. That kind of scares me. I don't know.
Yeah,
But XPPM was pretty dangerous.
but I think Mordekaiser would be a lot less intimidating now that Mbessa is out, because
To a certain extent.
it was really those two that were dominating the pace of the game. Mbessa
Mhm.
was able to get in and slow folks down for Mordekaiser to get in, pull it back to the team. But we do see the Zeri come back,
Yeah.
and uh,
Worked out well for Ethan last game. Like
yeah,
that's
Ethan was incredibly scary on that Zeri. That didn't mean to rhyme. And Renekton is banned again against the Michigan Tech Huskies. We'll see who we wind up picking now.
yeah.
There again, there's 170 characters.
Yeah, there's so many. Like it almost feels. Hey, the Fortune's coming back. That's a very sick pick. But I mean, I was about to say it almost feels useless to speculate. But there's one that we're both familiar with.
Yes.
We know it worked out really well for the Huskies last time. So we'll see now how Lewis responds to that. While we're waiting for that, sorry, the second Michigan Tech pick is up next. But while we're waiting on that, if you did come to the stream late and you want to keep up with the rest of Michigan Tech esports, be sure to follow, subscribe, hit that like button here on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch as well. Both of the tags are at MTU Esports. Be sure to get notifications whenever we go live. And stay tuned for all things Michigan Tech Huskies esports, especially as the other athletics start to wind down. We're going into probably April here for Michigan Tech esports, so stay tuned.
It's going to be a great season for us,
Yeah.
especially if games of this variety are what we're offering. I look forward to watching Michigan Tech esports.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
But now, I guess we just gonna have to wait and see who we wind up getting. Oh, we get Zach.
Pick. Interesting. I mean, there's the.
These
what
are
I'm
two Titans. They
saying.
kind of fill the same role, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, to a decent extent. I mean, but I think I would want to.
Kaiser's big and scary.
I want to swap Kaiser for Oriana in that ban list. That's what like it's scaring me. Like I know maybe Tech. I mean, with the Zach, maybe a bit of a counter more. We'll have to see how that works out for him. But you could see Lewis quick to respond with the Mordekaiser pick. They were kind of surprised, I think, to just say like, we want Zeri as our 1/1. We know who we want our ADC to have. But I mean, it's just like
they pick up the Lulu. They banned her last game.
Lulu's interesting too for Lewis, and then Michigan Tech gonna get one more pick, then two more bans coming in from each side. But this is, I don't know. Like I mean, the big two for Lewis's last game are still here.
Yeah,
And Misfortune coming back is really big for the Huskies, I think. Like that seemed like it worked really well.
she was incredibly scary last round.
Seraphim. I mean, there's your heels.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
could be
that's
it.
oh, never mind. We're
No,
going back to Renata. Okay.
and Renata worked pretty nicely for Michigan Tech.
Yeah, solid work.
We had Renata in the first round, if I'm not mistaken.
I think games 1 and 2 were Renata, actually, yeah.
Ooh.
But it's just the question is, where do you go with your last 2 slots here?
That's a great question. We're looking for a character for a mid lane, and I think they're looking for one as well. Michigan Tech bans out the Poppy. We say, we don't want to give it to you. Poppy Mordekaiser looking a little scary.
Last time you stole our top laner, it didn't go so well for us. So.
Yeah, now it's the coin flip.
Yeah.
Neither of them have Mbesa. We're in uncharted waters. We know that they're not going to have that white-haired, terrifying character. They ban out Victor. Who will our mid laner be?
I think we might see a Garen here.
It might be.
I think we see a Garen here.
He might have the staying power in these fights. And these fights haven't been over fast.
Yeah.
They have been very long, drawn-out fights, which is kind of the scene that Garen would like to survive around in.
I mean, Garen is the tank. like pretty quintessential, like, I think probably he's still gotta have like a top 10 health pool in the game at least. Probably top 5. But like I mean, the only downside really I see here is just the range compatibility and a little bit the speed.
Ari's banned out.
And
Yasuo's banned out.
I mean, that would have been interesting to see from Tech, maybe in the mid lane.
But that does leave Zed, and we know that Furina is a force to be reckoned with on his Zed. I wonder who we will wind up picking.
I believe it is Tech's pick. And they are going to go with the way this time.
Yeah.
Interesting. It seemed like it was pretty solid for Lewis. So, I mean, like, just how much they're stealing chance from each other's pool.
Now, is that mid? Where's that bottom lane?
I'm not entirely sure.
Is Wei always a mid character? They're new to me, but I do think their paintbrush, edgy artist aesthetic is super cool.
Yeah.
I'm getting confirmation from. Yeah.
Looks like a mid. Yeah. And then Galio is going to be on for Lewis. That's interesting.
In our stats, we noticed that Galio was one of the characters that we were considering banning going into Lewis.
So yeah, maybe a popular support pick there for Lewis. But
it looks kind of like a Regal Knight. So you got Light Knight, Dark Knight. You're getting medieval on us.
Let's see what the next pick here is. Camille.
Camille?
I think it's Camille. I'm not entirely sure, but.
We will probably say it wrong all match, or I will at least. I trust Jake's expertise more than mine.
All right, and then the last pick here, probably going to be the top lane, if I had to guess. Come on, just show me.
We can hear a big woo coming out of the esports pit behind us. I'm curious at who we have snatched. Maybe. Oh, let's go, Dr. Mundo!
I know you were rooting for Mundo a little bit earlier.
Mundo goes where he pleases, and I hope that goes well for us.
Yeah, we will see how this shakes out. I mean, a couple familiar faces here. I mean, the Hoist Knife taking the mid laner for Lewis onto the Michigan Tech side now. Still a little worried about that Mordekaiser. That felt like a pretty big game changer for Lewis in that last game, but we'll see if the Huskies with this new team comp are able to respond accordingly. Game 3 coming up here in just a few minutes.
We've got a good game in front of us. Yeah. That's good time to be a fan of Husky Esports, I tell you.
Absolutely.
And if you're enjoying our stream, please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you came in late, what's our ad read say? I definitely didn't botch that. If you came in late and you want to keep up to date with us, like, subscribe, or just ask me for a link to the stream. I would love to know that you are watching.
Yeah.
I can't say thank you enough to our friends, our family, our dedicated strangers watching over shoulders in public places. Hello, this is Husky Esports, and we're happy to have you.
Absolutely. And I will say also, after this game, there will be a post-game interview. We'll bring one of the players up here, ask him a few questions about the match. So be sure to stay tuned after this game concludes to hear from one of our League of Legends players. We'll also go ahead and talk about the schedule a little bit more. There will be a recap stream tomorrow as well to go over all the team records as Overwatch picks up a forfeit win against what would have been a matchup against San Jose State. So
you can't hate a 5-0
record. Hey, 4-0 for COD. Huskies, a big game here, trying to get it back to 3-2 for League of Legends. That'd be a really nice position there. That'd put them squarely in the 3 seed in
Yeah.
this bracket.
And I know with Overwatch specifically, last time we were casting about this, we were speculating about just how ridiculous the stats were for the Overwatch lineup.
Yeah.
With the couple of blowouts that they've had, we're going to see some pretty big stats next time we see
like
Overwatch.
The numbers just keep getting larger for Overwatch. I mean, the match we saw 2 weeks ago now was a much more competitive match.
Yeah.
Like so I think the KD is not going to, or the KD was like,
300 to 1. Like,
it was like
nuts.
113, right? Like it was some crazy stuff like that. Or not, like I think the KD was like 12, but it was like 113 and 9 was the stat line for a bunch of our players.
You've got a good memory. We're getting confirmation at the stats table.
Yeah,
and that's not to say that our guys in these games are not having great games. We're seeing high kill counts on either side. 20.
Yeah.
It was like 20 to 20 last game. Like those are some big kills. I can't wait to see what our stats look like at the end of this.
Yeah, it's gonna be very. I mean, this is a big game for really the entire season.
Yeah,
like this is a really important match win against a team that has a similar record to you. They're similar in skill level by the looks of it. I mean, we're going to game 3 in both series with them, so being able to split this series with them, take it 1-1 across the 2 matches that you've played, set yourself up with a winning record, get a game between you and them in the standings. That is a really nice position to be in.
Yeah,
because you do not want to run into the 1 seed on a 14 bracket.
No. It's time to husky up for our guys, really.
There you
they want
go.
to make sure that they're going in strong in that postseason season. Yeah, it looks like players are starting to load in and pick characters. We're still a couple of minutes off. Jake, what's the last good show that you watched, other than Arcane, of course?
I'm getting really into Severance.
Oh, I've heard Severance is good.
It is. It's awesome.
A couple of the things that I think are interesting about that show is one, it's directed by Ben Stiller.
Yeah,
of all people.
I mean, when I saw that Ben Stiller was the director for it, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, I mean, it might go well, but I mean, he's knocked it out of the park.
I've heard incredible things.
It's been an incredible show to watch. It's like very like strange, like just like eerie psychological, like not quite horror, but more of like a thriller type vibe from it. And I think it might be the best show on TV right now. It's really fun to watch.
Big recommendation. You can watch that on Apple TV. We're not sponsored.
We're not.
It probably won't ever be. It's a good show though. I've heard great things. The music's great. My little brother is hot on it, and it's such a good show that he's even convinced my parents, if I'm not mistaken, to get Apple TV. I don't think there's an Apple device in the house, but hey, we'll watch it anyways. But
there's a few other good shows on Apple TV to watch though. Like Ted Lasso's been on there for a while.
Oh, good, feel good.
But yeah, a few other great shows on there. There's a few that I still need to get around to watching.
Ted Lasso is one of those shows that just feels like hot cocoa for the soul.
It is.
Presented with problems,
so nice.
And you get warm solutions for them.
Yeah. Sometimes, like, I mean, whenever I like am talking to it, like, I mean, I was kind of in like a pseudo coach position for a broom ball team, and there was one time where I was just like, just put on the corniest Kentucky accent I can think of, and just like, we're down, we got this, get out there, win this game, and hey, it worked. So.
I heard an expression, you can ride the gravy train on biscuit wheels. That's the kind of colloquialisms I'm looking for.
Yeah. Maybe we just need like Jason Sudeikis just like on retainer or something, you know, like just give a motivational speech every once in a while.
Especially in the gloomy days over here in Michigan Tech. I'm curious on how our broomball scene is doing with the amount of ice that it is melting.
I think broomball's pretty much wrapped up at this point. I think usually spring break is about to cut off, but
that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think, I mean, the team that I was with, the season ended about 2 weeks before spring break, but I think like they were in a non-competitive conference, like they were just messing around. So yeah. I think like the playoffs and stuff for the bigger conferences get a little bit more complex. But
it's one of those things that's like quintessential to the Michigan Tech experience, though.
Oh, for sure.
It's a great way to, especially after COVID, you get to play on a team, you get to hang out with your friends, and you get to do it in the middle of winter. This is one of the few places where we have just an incredibly strong winter sports scene.
Yeah.
Skiing's been great. I was talking with a lady today. She is 86 years old. She went snowshoeing for the first time. She's a dedicated skate skier, and she said snowshoeing is so much better than skate skiing. You get to just take a long walk in nature. You get to breathe the fresh air. I'm like, lady, you're 86. My hat is off to you. That is an incredible feat.
I'm sold. Maybe I got to give this a try because I mean, I love going out on the tech trails during the summer because I mean, I've been up here in the spring months a few times. It's been lovely.
One of the beautiful things with snowshoeing too is you're able to tackle trails that shouldn't be earthly possible. Like it is an incredible ability, especially back in the tech trail kind of route. There's a creek that's just south of campus too that has a really, really strong snowshoeing trail. I'll pull it up one of these times after.
Yeah, we'll continue this conversation after the stream, but
Definitely.
I mean, like, just so many different experiences to be a part of here at Michigan Tech. I mean, like, the big three I can think of, are like just Tech hockey is the big one.
Mhm.
Going to Winter Carnival and playing group ball.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately, like, we're kind of past the hurdle for all those now. It's time. Everybody here is kind of in lock-in mode for the rest of the semester, unfortunately. But
that doesn't mean though that our snow is necessarily going anywhere fast. One of the things that I see the kids, especially up in Calumet and Lorium area, doing is taking the big bundles, the big snow push piles, and turning them into igloos. It's not necessarily an igloo. I know that there's a distinct name for it, but they will make an ice cavern and
hollowing it out.
Yeah, it is an incredible feat.
And I mean, I have a math professor who was telling a story about like after one of the bigger snows that we got a few weeks ago, just talking about how like the snow got so bad, like there was like a snowdrift like got up to the roof of his house.
Yes.
So just walked up onto the roof and just he and his kids were just sledding down the roof of his house.
Sometimes you just have to.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the whole winter wonderland thing. It's real up here, folks. Like it's crazy stuff. I mean, you'll wake up one morning and there's 18 inches of fresh powder right outside your front door, and you kind of get used to it, but every once in a while you just walk out to a wall of snow and you're just like, nothing else like this in the world.
It's incredibly beautiful.
It's special.
The other weekend I was on a hike with my friends and we saw this entirely pure just sheet of snow, and the 8 of us for some reason just shoved our faces in it, and it was great. I have a great picture of us each with just an absolute snowful face.
I bet it woke you up, that's for sure. But
it was cold. That is for sure. But it was at one of the points in the hike where something so cold was super refreshing. Refreshing, much like the Call of Summoner's Rift. Our game is just getting started now. Our players have loaded in. I think this is going to be a good match. This is for the series. This is for dominance or retribution. We will see what the effects are at the end of this game. Now we got our Lewis University folks pulling on in, coming in with Timohan, XPPM, Plox, Ethan, and Violet. And on of the Michigan Tech side, of course, we have our friends Nugtart, Craftinator, Furina, Music Tabs, and Mad King 007. I cannot wait to see what these guys have in store for us. They're looking for an early pickoff in the mid lane. 4 heroes saying, hey.
Casual 4-player reach right out of the gate. Just trying to say, hey, just want to make sure you're staying behind your turret.
Yeah.
Why don't you just step right on back there. Don't worry about
resting on your laurels right now, right? You guys are still awake, trying to scout us out, and it looks like our Dr. Mundo is noticing Timohan being a little bit over the river. We'll see what winds up happening here. That XPPM on Mordekaiser, though, it looks like he's going to be in big trouble in the bot lane. But no, not bot lane. It looks like he's mid before he returns to the jungle. But Furina on Hui says, hey, get out of my face. I'm going to slap you with a paintbrush. Make sure that you have a little bit less health. You're a little bit less comfortable going into the jungle. And I hear a let's go.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's what I want to hear. Something spicy's coming in the next couple of minutes. I can't wait to see what our boys come up with. But as things get started here, we've got our typical lane, our picking away. Our Renala and Misfortune combo was incredibly effective in the first game, applying some damage and just kind of shaping things up. Looks like our top lane is looking pretty good. XPPM in the jungle is below half health, but it doesn't look like there's any interest in going out to find him. We got Dr. Mundo, though, trading off with Timohan.
Oh, that's like the evil genius Mundo skin. I haven't seen that in a long time.
He's looking crisp.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh, look at this. Oh, this is a big push potentially here. I mean, just trying to already pick up territory, pick up all these minions, and just trying to isolate Ethan.
And he's rooted.
Root
it's a big hit there. It's Fortune. Big damage coming out. Oh, is the ADC going to go down? We don't know, but Ethan is definitely not in as comfortable of a spot as he was a moment ago. That isn't to say, though, that Nug is in a much better position. We see that Ethan is still looking pretty low as they're kind of struggling under the creep wave. Renala was doing a good job of pushing them out, making sure that they were denying the ability for their ADC to get any farm, get any gold. And that's the important thing at the start of a game like this, is before you have these big items, before you have this the control and you're worried about who's roaming where, is you really just have to worry about this short game, kind of the putting of League of Legends, forcing someone away from that creep boundary is going to restrict the golden XP that they're able to pick up, and make him really kind of frustrated and kind of force him to do nothing.
Yeah.
We're seeing that come out of Ethan in the bot lane as he's on low health. We don't know exactly what the case is, but a big bully like that is definitely the position that Michigan Tech wants to be in.
Yeah, Huskies right now, like the big goal is just to make sure you keep forcing minion kills. You want to get your XP bar up. You want to be able to have the advantage when eventually a 1v1 starts going in your lane. And so far, Tech's done a pretty good job of securing that. Fiorina, nice push, just trying to just force the Galeo away. Oh, they're playing mid, actually. That's an interesting choice from Lewis. I'm used to them more in a support role, actually. But,
Yeah. But we can see right now, Michigan Tech's in a pretty strong position. We're pushing. Oh, it's a big gate coming out of calf.
Polymorph, come on, take out Ethan.
Yeah!
In favor of the Huskies. Cravenair gets very close to death there. But
that's the Zach effect, man.
Yeah, first on the board for the Michigan Tech Huskies. Going to get that first kill on. And let's see if they can keep this momentum. They got off to a hot start early last game. This is by no means enough to call it quits and just say you're in the lead. They need to keep this momentum. They need to preserve it, keep it strong. Nug in a little bit of danger here. Gonna back off, retreat to the turret. And for now, gonna stay alive. Looks like for the moment, Tech's getting away clean. 600 gold lead.
We're seeing a couple of characters rotate into the mid lane too. Zach is back. Craftinator saying, "Hey, Plox, you didn't forget about me in your jungle, did you?" And it's gonna go down, giving it to Fiorina and Craftinator. That's the kind of heads up that we wanted to see. Craft coming out of nowhere. And that's the kind of mobility that's hard to deal with that we saw in game 1 too.
2 early kills for the Zach as well as something to keep your eye on. That makes jungle ganks very risky for Lewis. Always have to be worried about Crave because he's going to be pretty far ahead in the XP counter relatively soon once he starts clearing more camps.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't look like he's stopping anytime soon. We're seeing Nug at lower health right now, but as soon as Mundo starts sticking up, Dr. Mundo goes where he pleases, man.
Well, the other thing is that Mundo has so much HP to give that it's really not as dire as it looks, you know? Yeah. They have a little bit more room to work than a lot of the top laners we've been seeing out there. Like, I think even Ambessa doesn't have quite the health pool Mundo does.
Yeah. But we are seeing they're a lot more polite to each other up in that top lane. We're not seeing nearly as much scrapping.
It's more of a civilized discussion than an all-out brawl this time.
Well, I think my knuckles would meet your face quite nicely, sir. Well, I retort with a swift uppercut.
No, I was getting a little bit aggressive here. Has a pack of minions with him as well, and might be pushing Timbo into the turret. This is a risky play. Turret damage going to start coming in here pretty soon, and the Mundo is going to retreat for now. But Huskies, for the moment, look like they want to take this first dragon buff.
Yeah, and we've got mid lane tied up. We've got top lane tied up. So with the aggression that we've been winning in the bot lane, that's going to free up the dragon. And
just like that.
Yeah, the dragon goes to Zach. Crafinator with a permanent damage buff is a very scary thing. We're to catch XPPM trying to take on the Void Grubs. They're more interested in him than our team.
That is very
That's another one. Boy.
They can grab these grubs as well. Oh, this is getting risky now, though. Timbo's going to take out Nug, but here comes the full team for the Huskies. And they want to pick up as many of these Void Grubs as they can get.
Those slows are hard to deal with. The grapple shot's there, and that's a good fight. Nice. Let's go, Fiorina, pulling them in with Hui. That should free up our Void Grubs.
Yeah, these 2 grubs going to be free for the Huskies here by the looks of it. I don't think anybody else anywhere near position to make a play for them, and just more XP for Zach.
Holy cow, these guys have so much money for this early of the game. Like 10K gold is
7 minutes.
They're doing pretty good.
Pretty awesome start.
Red Team takes the Void Grabs. They're going to give that stacking buff over to the Zach and just make him more of a threat. Not only now does he have Dragon, a couple of kills, but Void Grabs is going to make any lane that he shows up in a lot softer.
A little bit more scary. Yeah. I mean, like the early game buffs definitely don't have quite as much of a staying power as you'll see from like the Baron Nashor or like the later dragons in the game. But still, I mean, when you're dealing with such small differences between the teams, it is a really nice thing. And it's just that little extra damage you'll do because of it, that little more you'll be able to tough through.
Yeah.
That can be the difference, and it very often is, especially in a 1v1.
And it looks like we've got a little bit of a scuffle going in the bot lane as we're watching.
That's an overreach.
Mundo and...
no, you got this.
Calio? Camille.
Not up top. That's Camille. Yeah.
Camille, yeah. Well, she's got kind of a slender figure. It looks like she's still pretty beefy and able to hang around too.
A lot of HP, but I mean, like, especially if Crave comes up with the Zach.
Does she have knives for
Look
legs?
at that read.
Terrifying. Great rotation on Zach. And look at that
That's a kill.
damage.
Come on. Come on, get it.
Oh, it's so close.
Oh,
But
it's
Crave,
so close.
recognizing that being under the tower is a bad place to be, decides to pull back. That kind of retreat, though, is going to open so much space for Nug. As we're looking at more of a scuffle up top, our music tabs, though, gets away, eating a little bit of damage, but retreating safely under the tower. Oh, Tim says, I'm not going all the way back to home. You think I retreat? That's ridiculous. Zach staying in the lane. It's kind of a tough spot. No, not Zach, Nug. And now Nug's at low HP, but most of his spellcasting comes from his health, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, they were both at about a third HP there, but Nug going to drop a ward, and instead of overextending into the tech jungle, Lewis is just going to decide, yeah, we're just going to destroy that. We're going to let you walk this time. But still scary for Nug there, knowing the jungler was lurking.
Yeah. They call out Hui coming back to the mid lane. We saw that Zach was in position to try to make something happen, but it looks like it's, again, we're back to a polite reset. We hear our boys getting excited in the background. I can't wait to see what comes out of it. This kind of a tempo is exciting to partake in. We're starting to get a lot more damage on that tier 1 tower. Cracking open that mid lane tower.
Oh, that's a lot of damage coming in for Fiorina too, and not a ton of room to work here for P1.
But Fiorina recognizes the gank. He pops an ethereal.
Can Fiorina get out of this? Oh, it's a lot of damage coming in from XP. This is what scared me last game, and there's the shutdown.
Yeah.
It is not going to go to XP, but.
And we see the gank coming out. Wow, good rotation from Lewis University.
Yep.
Keeping the gold differential within 1,000. Again, these guys have a lot of money for 10 minutes. Almost getting up to 17,000. That's pretty big. But Michigan Tech.
Oh, that's a kill. There you go. Nice work there. Take out Ethan.
Shut down the ADC. We saw it as an effective strategy in the last game, and we're doing it to Lewis University this time. Way to go, Michigan Tech. Picking off a couple of guys in the river. Looks like we're in a pretty good spot. Mundo sitting with so much health. Look at all those little red ticks. Each one of those, I think, are 250 health.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Which means he's got a lot. He's got almost twice as much health as Tim. But again, Mundo spends health to cast a spell, so he can wind up in a pretty rough situation fast. Nug's doing a pretty good job of getting these knives in, missing that last one, but we're going to the mid lane. It looks like Lewis University has pulled 2 heroes to come and contest against Fiorina. That's kind of leaving Ethan open on bot lane. We've got 3 in mid. It looks like Michigan Tech is saying, Lewis University, you guys can have a little ADC farm. We'll get a little ADC farm. And we'll just go and fight in the mid lane. Poking at each other. Looks like we're positioning for Void Grubs.
And Nug doing a nice job of pushing Timo back to allow that to happen too for Crafinator. I mean, look at this positioning they've got. Crafinator and Mad King all just ready to go on Timo.
Yeah.
The second a pack of minions comes in, they want this kill.
Yeah, pushing hard into that jungle. It's in a really difficult position for Lewis University to respond against. But Lewis pushes into the dragon. It seems like it's uncontested for now. We don't have much interest in rotating to bot lane. Misfortune's playing at a safe distance. We're instead taking the Void Grubs and map positioning of top. I guess that's the cost. We get mountains rising. I believe that means that we're going to have some restricted paths coming through the jungle.
Yeah, it like shakes up the layout of the jungle a bit. It's going to be a bit, I mean, not more difficult necessarily, but like a different way of having to navigate the jungle for sure.
And Mordekaiser, he's coming in. But
that's
big damage.
Tech turret.
Hey, and he's realizing that
Oh,
that's a big kill.
Go.
That's what we want to see. Music Tabs cleans up the Mordekaiser, and we'll see if that gets anything more. It's a great ult.
Oh, that's
ties him up. Are we able to pick off Ethan as Nug is in a little bit of trouble?
That's pretty scary. Oh, I don't know about this. Turret damage might come in and do the difference here.
Timo's
going to get out.
Under the tower, but there's a chance. No, Timo gets out. It seemed like the tower is interested in targeting him down one more time, but Music Tab's in a little bit of a damaged position. No, Zach says, Timo, that's us.
There you go.
That's my jungle. Sorry.
Picking up the trade. Nice work by Crafinator. Not quite there to successfully pull off the gank, but able to pick up the pieces at least. Keeping Michigan Tech on top in the kill counter. But now 4 kills to 7. Lewis again trying to pull themselves back into this game. About 13 minutes in, this is where things got hairy for Tech last game. Can they keep themselves centered? Make sure they stay on top of this time.
Only time will tell. And again, the game is close. We're seeing some
Oh,
really good aggressive ganks, but Greyfinator is saying, I don't really want to eat that many tower hits is probably the right call.
I agree. And here, I mean, P1 has the back off as well. They're both going to go ahead and recall in the mid lane. So go back, buy some items, try to re-heal a bit. And now Nug is getting chased away.
Almost lands the knife again. He's got some incredible aim. That's a projectile that's kind of hard to predict at the tip. Furina, again, bullying their mid laner Plox out of lane as there goes into 3v2 for Lewis University. Music Tab's being focused, but there's not enough commitment. They don't want to push under the lane, and Zach gets in. Crayfinator is in the middle of the fight. He's in kind of a rough position. He goes under half. Mordekaiser, oh, he splits. He pops his ultimate. Which one is it going to be? He's reforming. No, he gets pulled down.
Yeah.
Crave, though, opening this fight up. There's a lot of damage on the Mordekaiser. Oh, no.
Oh, it's so scary.
Oh, the double kill. Music Tabs.
That is huge. Huskies needed that.
And again, that's a scary hero to get some kills on. I don't know what the stat is right now, but I know Music Tabs has, I think, 4 of the 9 kills.
Something like that. 3 or 4, I'm pretty sure. And this is going to be the first turret going in favor of Michigan Tech.
And their top lane, too, is pushed into at least half. Nug on Dr. Mundo is really causing some damage and not taking it in return. It's really hard to get Mundo out of lane. Yeah. These trades. They've got a good counter here, though. It looks like they're countering Mundo's healing, which is pretty aggressive. These guys are, again, just gentlemen's pugilism. Just punching each other in the face. Trying to make it hard for either of them to rotate, make sure that they're not interfering with other lanes. But yeah, Crayfinator's got the farm right now. So does Misfortune. This is a commanding position for Michigan Tech to be in.
I will also point out Rift Herald is going to spawn here pretty soon. Huskies in a slightly more advantageous position to take it. I mean, it looks like they're going to see some kind of counterplay from XPPM here. But they have 4 players in the area right now. Just want to try to lock down this advantage for themselves. Use it, probably try to clear out one of the top or bottom lanes and make some more noise. Just pressure Lewis a bit more. I mean, I think by this point in game 2, Michigan Tech had lost the lead. So they're doing a much better job of just like staying on top of this in the mid game. They're keeping control of these lanes. Here's a little bit of a too aggressive push from Furina there. But I mean, I think the 3rd time we've seen Lewis actively go behind the Tech turret line.
Yeah.
To get behind a player and pick up a kill on the bottom lane.
And right now, Tech's in a position to counter this gank. We see the, what is this, Galileo in the mid lane, but that's 3 of our guys. Music Tabs on Misfortune is a strong character right now. And being backed up by Zach and his Renala, that's going to be really hard for Lewis University to take down. Recognizing their advantage, Tech is going in and fighting the
Rift Herald.
Rift Herald, thank you.
Oh, here comes the counterplay, though. XPP is going to want to try to get in here and steal this.
And Kaiser's not looking as big and scary as he was last time. Zach's in with a big stun. We got a lot of damage coming out from Misfortune. That's going to bring XPPM down to about half. But he's still a major threat.
There you go.
He was a major threat.
And
Fox, too, is pretty low. That's they're threatening to overthrow the Void Herald. But
they do steal it. They did steal the Rift Herald. That's not great for the... I mean, it's not the end-all be-all by any means. They still got a kill out of it. They took out XPPM. You want to get Mordekaiser behind in the XP count for sure.
Definitely.
And that's a nice way to do it. But still, you wish you picked up Rift Herald there, but you'll take it.
A great play by Lewis University. Making sure that they still have some fight and claim to the game, but lose it.
Oh, Ethan got caught. Goodbye. Yeah, that's a nice play there. Nice catch.
Done like that, and the turret's, the tower's attention, not a great place to be.
All right.
Misfortune facing up against 2. Plox is getting dangerously low. Zach is there to back him up, but they back off at the end. Nugs is in a commanding position too in this top lane. This is electrifying. It's good to see Michigan Tech really playing in. They've got the fire right now. As you were saying, they're looking for more early aggression. And I think Lewis University is starting to struggle with it. We're seeing the gold start to sway a little bit of the way into Michigan Tech's hands, and I can't complain.
Yeah. And I think you might see the Cloud Drake has spawned. So Michigan Tech might try to make a play for that Drake. Just keep it out of Lewis's hands. I mean, with the Rift Herald on their side, They've got a little bit of a way to make some noise in the lane right now. Just pick up that buff while you have the opportunity.
And we can
And
recognize both teams taking that as a priority. It's pinged by both teams. There's
mhm,
4 of Lewis in the bot. There's
yeah,
3 of Michigan Tech in the bot. They're placing wards, countering wards. Lewis puts a ward in the pit to make sure that Michigan Tech doesn't try to immediately get in, or at least they had a vision on it if they tried. All the meanwhile, Nugs and Tim are still squaring off.
yep.
Nugs a little bit behind in that XP, but neither of them are relinquishing control of this tower.
Oh, there's the
But
Rift
there's the
Herald.
Rift Herald, and that's going to make it a lot less comfortable for Nugs to hang out in lane. Charges straight into the tower, and it'll probably get T1.
I don't know actually. I think they just
Wow.
fended off the Rift Herald. That's a really nice
Wow.
push there. I mean, a lot of damage still on T1. It's gonna force Mono to push back a bit pretty
But
soon.
they were holding on to Rift for an incredibly long time.
Yeah.
They found the opportunity to try to use it, and they don't get the tower down. They're
Ooh.
going to have to work a little bit harder for it.
This is risky for XPP. A little bit overextended there, and
Yeah,
making them
here
pay
comes
for
the
it. Take him out.
misfortune.
Music tabs, misfortune popping off in game 3. Exactly the type of recovery you want to see after what was a pretty hard countered in game 2. A double kill there, taking out Ethan too.
Renala
Nice
helping
work.
him out. Good job, Mad King, keeping everyone topped and getting a little bit of extra damage in, softening the target, but not claiming it.
Yep.
Making sure that Misfortune takes the kill. A great heads-up play for both these guys.
Yeah, and it looks like, I mean, there's some noise that Lewis could try to make around the Cloud Drake here. I doubt they think it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
And now the turret will go down up in the top lane, but Nug
Wow.
back in a position to have this fight.
Camille is real slippery. We've got a big, slow, unmovable object like Mundo who just wants to kind of stick on you, and Camille's dancing around, but it's looking like a tough play right now as Shirina gets on the scene. Nug's hanging out in the bushes trying to wait for something to happen. He's still at full health. They've got a lot of advantage right now, and the tier 1 tower is at enough of a health detriment. We've got creeps pushing in. This is a pretty strong position for our Huskies. The ruinous Otacon spawns again as Timohan has to retreat back to Fountain. It's a commanding position for Michigan Tech to be in. We see a few of their guys rotating onto the top lane, sizing up what the threat of Lewis University is going to be. As Griffin Anders just says, I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to get a little bit more money. We'll just keep trucking. That big blob Zach is so mobile. That's got to be terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, that Zach's work in the early game is what really got the ball rolling for the Huskies here, and it's why they have such a significant lead right now. I mean, like I said, it's not enough to call it safe, but this is definitely a much more workable situation than they were in game 2, and I'm sure they're happy with what they've got right now.
The team fights do seem to be going more in Michigan Tech's favor, but the gold lead is
pretty close.
It's pretty close. It's within 1,000, which means these guys have about similar item loadouts right now. And both Nug and Tim are thinking, I could probably take this fight. We get the healing denied on Nug, and he's forced to back out as they scuffle in the bot lane. Both of them have pushed pretty hard onto the top, and I think they're just trying to get a little bit more XP. We've got 4 Michigan Tech stuck in the Ruinous, but they seem to understand that Lewis isn't too far away. They're a little bit slower to respond, but we've got some good wards showing vision. And as Lewis starts to show, Michigan Tech just says, hey, we'll just take the tier 1 tower instead.
Yeah, the question is Tech ready for quite how much Lewis was ready for this fight? Because I think it's 4 of the 5 Lewis players are in the vicinity. 3 of them are actively pushing. So can Tech fend this off? Looks like they're not actually going to try to pick up the Ruinous boss right now.
No,
They're
but
more worried about
XPPM is in their jungle.
Yep.
They scouted him out, and he's in kind of a rough
Oh,
spot.
hey.
Zach's got the hook, but it's not quite enough to go in on. Oh, Mordekaiser gets out. And they take down the tier. That's just the tier 1 in mid. As we get back to Nug and Tim punching each other in the face.
They traveled across the map to meet in the bottom lane. I mean, like, I'm happy for them. You know, like it seems like they really just they just want to just punch each other for an hour straight.
Yeah, they've got something special. They got something special. It's kind of like they're asking the age-old question: do you think love can bloom on the battlefield?
In Summoner's Rift, I don't know. It's an age-old question, but it seems like they're trying to answer it. So, who are we to judge?
You can't complain. I do love watching Nug punch a guy in the face.
And now Music Tabs and Mad King. I mean, like, it's just the ADC support and top lane have just fully swapped lanes at this point. This is pretty crazy, honestly. But yeah, Mundo's sticking to bottom lane. This is something.
And that Renal is doing great work for Michigan Tech. Renal and Fortune seem to be really just glued together, and it's a terrifying push. Both
Oh yeah.
enabling them to just shell out long range damage and try to get something to happen. Ducking and diving in between laser beams. Uh-oh, we see Misfortune get ganked on. It's a pretty tough place damage-wise.
Oh.
Ethan finds a good rotation. He was able to predict where Music Tabs is going to be, but they might have to give up XPPM for it. No, Lewis University backs them up. We see some big slows come out as Michigan Tech tries to limit the amount of damage. Zach gets 2. Furina's in a tough spot. He gets a delay of damage, but he still goes down. Timohan the Camille is really threatening. As Ethan starts just damaging in.
There.
Zach's got a grip on him, but he's not able to get the second target and get the big whop stun together. It's a good position for Lewis to be as they rotate into the Ruinous Otacon.
I mean, Lewis just hard committed to that team fight, and it wound up working out great for them. I mean, like in a situation like that, I mean, your teams would often be tempted to cut their losses and let XPPM drop, but they just jumped right back into that team fight, had the advantage, and seized it, and now they're going to pick up the Ruinous buff for it.
Yeah,
That's nice work by Lewis.
Their mobility, they're able to see the threat, rotate effectively, and force our damage dealers out. It's incredibly effective.
And now the gold lead's slightly in favor of Lewis, in fact.
Just big games.
Grafinator, going to try to take out blue buff here, going to get it. And now just trying to get a read on what is the plan for Lewis here. A new Drake spawns. I think they're just going to go for a quick takedown here by the looks of it.
That extra defense is pretty strong. And we see that's got to be Baron swimming up the river.
Baron.
He's going to be spawning here in a moment too. Baron buff would be most welcome as they're trying to figure out what objectives to take. I think all tier 1s are down on red side. And just the tier 1 mid remains for Lewis University. So we have to figure out what our next major objective is going to be, and what the hell we're going to fight and die on is.
The thing is, this is a really scary team fight for both teams. If you go all in on a team fight, you need to win. You cannot let them retreat, because if they retreat, they'll just go retreat to Baron.
Yes.
You know, and like, I mean, you'll want to take Dragon because you're there, it's unopposed, but then you're making a really big risk.
A 5-man wipe would be incredibly detrimental to either team, especially so right now with 2 great options open, Dragon and Baron.
Both teams here, I think, want to walk out at least 2 players up.
Yeah, and well, we get a long grip on Kaiser, but doesn't seem to be the ideal target. Furina taking a little bit of chip, but
they caught Lewis
baiting in a big ult. They've got the hammer, they've got the anvil. Let's see if Michigan Tech is able to pull it in. There's a lot of damage negation going on Lewis University's side. Michigan Tech's health pool is looking a little bit low. 2 go down. It's looking kind of rough for our Huskies as Mundo's health pool is getting lower than we were expecting, but they bite back. Plock's getting low, but they pick up Furina. We trade back. We're slogging through this. 3 down for Tech, 2 down for Lewis. But they're pushing up under the tower, and Timohan is in kind of a rough position.
There you go. Come on.
Back, but the tower isn't able to pull it. Ethan in a low position. This fight has gone on for long enough, and Lewis says, we're licking our wounds. We get 4, and they immediately go down into the Dragon Pool.
Yeah, that last kill is brutal too. Who was the last person to go down there? Mad King was the last one.
Oh,
I mean,
rough.
Yeah, I mean 3v2, you're not happy about it, but you can walk away from that one, make a play for Baron. But here you just got to let the respawn timers fully click. They're going to take Drake.
And it's one of those decisions too. It came down to an absolute knife's edge.
Yeah.
If the turret was able to get more damage out, we would have seen Ethan drop. We would have seen Plox drop faster. Those are tough positions to be in for these guys. I think Nug was the only one to make it out on
I believe so.
Tech's side. I mean, as far as things go, Michigan Tech loses Dragon, but Baron doesn't go down. Lewis University says, we don't have the strength behind us. Our health pools aren't high enough. We can't go for a high priority target like Baron just yet. They'll be willing to get the damage. I think they put it on the Galio, but I could be wrong.
And now here's Mundo and Temo back at it in the bottom lane. Probably going to be a draw here again. I mean, maybe one does something crazy and overextends, but yeah, looks like nobody really wants to be the aggressor there. It's both teams just cautiously eyeing Baron, waiting for the other one to make a mistake first.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, neither team really wants to be the one to initiate the fight at Baron Nashor.
Michigan Tech is doing a good job of keeping XPPM in check. At this point in the game last time, Mordekaiser was a huge problem, and they're doing a great job restricting his movement and killing him before he gets a chance to kill them.
Yes.
Restricting Mordekaiser in that way and making sure that Music Tabs gets a couple of kills, gets a little bit of value is exactly what you want to see. He might go down in a fight here and there, but as long as he's consistently getting gold and XP, he's going to be on pace to outscale other folks. Right now we're seeing him a couple levels behind Ethan, but we know that this misfortune can be incredibly scary.
I mean, besides the top laners, it's just the entire team's huddled near Baron Nashor. Neither wants to give up this fight. They know Baron buff is probably going to put whatever team takes it in the driver's seat here.
I look forward to them figuring out what the next big objective, what the next hill is going to be. We see 4 people kind of grouping up top, but Vision is very defensive on either side. They've got one good ward from Lewis University in the northern jungle against Michigan Tech, but it's quickly spotted out, taken care of. Furiana says, we don't like you seeing what we're doing. Not that we're doing anything crazy here, but privacy is important.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
You don't want someone looking in your window. But
this
speaking
might be
of
the start.
Windows, it looks like both teams are sizing up the window of opportunity right now. They're kind of sick of waiting. And they continue to dance. Map control seems to be going slightly in the favor of Lewis University, but this is really a neutral spot right now. We see a little bit of an overextension in the bot lane with the Camille, but not enough to draw 3 characters' attention. Tim on Camille is incredibly slippery again, and we see him going for a potential gank against Nug. Both guys getting a little bit low, but not enough for either of them really claim. Tim again rotating, trying to probably slide back in, make another tough position for Nug, but they just back off. Him taking some control in the river. We see a couple more folks grouping up mid lane. On either side, they say, hey, we know where they are, they know where we are. But
and I mean, kind of counterintuitively, or I guess, I mean, maybe intuitively, it's just like everybody's kind of just decided there's a cautious peace around Baron Nashor right now. Like, Tech's still leaning into it pretty heavy, but, you know, players are still trying to attack their lanes, gain XP. They are a little bit behind in the XP counter right now, so that'd be nice to pick up. And this is a bad position here for Nog.
Yeah, as he starts to draw the attention of more of the team, Mordekaiser is going to make this a lot more difficult. The big frog over there making it a little bit easier, but it was a good heads-up play from Nug, though, saying, hey, I'm not going to give you the ability to just immediately push into the tier 2 tower in bot lane. I'm going to draw your attention away a little bit and make it a little bit more of a conscious effort if you're going to stay in this lane. But not enough of a response from Michigan Tech, and that's going to move Lewis into the pit. But this move has been anticipated by Michigan Tech for a little bit, for a little while, and Fury to get some good damage in on Violet, but they have to deal with a tough choice right now. This is kind of a zero-sum game. Not quite the snipe, but the big ult goes through. They're not able to catch anyone, and now Lewis is in a good position. They've got a 5K gold lead. They know that Renala's big slow is on cooldown, and they're going to go in bot lane. They say, hey, we see it. We've got a heavy creep wave pushing in, and you guys haven't really been able to deal with us so far. We know how soft you guys have for defenses. We've got Baron buff. We want to take down that inhibitor.
And it looks like they might be going for the dragon here as well.
If Furina gets caught, Furina gets blown up. That's not what you want to see. We see a misfortune ult that doesn't find the characters that they need. They didn't push immediately into it. We're going to see Michigan Tech's big damage dealers down. They clean up the Dr. Mundo. They clean up. Oh.
Yeah, that's big trouble there. Crayfinator the only one able to escape from that team fight, and that's just barely. Crayfinator going to have to recall as well. A big push coming, and territorial gains probably on the way. Turret goes down quickly.
And now Lewis has Baron buff too, and all of the opportunities to
already.
Yeah, take down an inhibitor, maybe two. We see a little bit of a push going into top lane. No, they're going in for tier 4s.
Yeah, you can look at the. I mean, yeah, turret's going down. Crayfinator's the only one left. This is, I think, unfortunately, going to be the end of it here.
Yeah, Lewis University recognizing the strength that they have with them. It was a close game. A couple of that one good long fight in mid
Yeah.
just didn't go quite our way. There were so many
Mhm.
heroes that came out of that at the end that were in the bottom 25% of their health, and
Yeah.
a day late, a buck short. Michigan Tech Huskies put up an excellent fight, clawing to the very end. What do you think, Jake?
It's just a really tough spot. I mean, like all three games, Michigan Tech has the early lead. Game one, they hold on to it and they just roll through, I think, like 25, 26-minute game.
Yeah.
Just quick, dominant performance there. And then it just felt like games 2 and 3, especially in the mid game, Lewis just had their number. I don't know what strategy they picked. I mean, maybe it was just that Fiorina was that good with Yone and we didn't even, and maybe we're underrating this. I don't know. But it's just, they found something, they found a crack in Michigan Tech setup around the 15-minute mark somewhere.
Yeah.
And they just found a way to capitalize over and over.
Yeah, those first few minutes were electrifying. We could tell that both teams were looking for ganks, and we found it on the Zach. Zach was able to just bound over walls, slap folks when they weren't expecting it. It doesn't seem like it was quite enough, but boy, howdy, was it tons of fun to watch.
Yeah.
I think here in a moment we're going to be cutting to an intermission, and then we'll be back in a moment with an interview from one of our players.
Exactly that. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Unfortunately, we just got word that there will be no post-game interview tonight. I get it. It's 11:35 p.m. Players are wanting to go home and get some rest. So good game to them, of course. Tough fought game there. Unfortunately, not the result you want if you're rooting for the Huskies. But coming up next here on MTU Esports tomorrow night, we were planning on having an Overwatch stream, but apparently that has resulted in a forfeit win. So instead of doing that, we are going to go ahead and do a recap stream where we just go over the rosters and probably the GLIAC Championship results as well, just to discuss overall team records and what's coming up for the rest of the season for your Huskies. And then on Friday night at 8 o'clock, the Michigan Tech COD team is going to be taking on Kaiser University Newport Richie. So that'll be an exciting game for those of you who want to watch the Call of Duty team try to stay undefeated. Then next week, the League of Legends team has a bye week, so they will not be a stream next Tuesday. Michigan Tech will be playing Cal State University Dominguez Hills on Wednesday night at 8:30 in Overwatch. And then to conclude next week's streams, we'll have Black Ops 6 back again, taking on Akron at 8 o'clock. That is going to be all for us here at MTU Esports tonight. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to our partners for sponsoring the broadcast and helping us to provide everything that we've been doing here to you all. And of course, thank you to our players for putting on a great match tonight. I've been Scrimby.
I've been Sponge, and thanks for joining us, folks.
Have a good night.